What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Terror Table, a horror movie podcast presented by the Saskatchewan Podcast Network. My name is Mitch, and I'm one of your hosts here every single week. And today, I am solo in terms of the Terror Table. Kyle and Boozy are out this week, but filling in for them, I'm welcoming friend of the show, metal, country, and punk drummer, formerly a member of the Saskatoon Fantastic Film Festival Programming Committee, and now an official full-time programmer for the Saskatoon Fantastic Film Festival. It is my buddy, Jaye Luk. How's it going, Jay?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. We've been talking about doing this for a long time. We had planned to do an episode. I think it was going to be 4 movies or something like that.
Yeah, it was supposed to be 4. Yeah, I watched all 4 too immediately. I wrote notes on all of everything. I was like, it'd be awesome. And then I waited half a year.
yeah, you waited half a year. We didn't do that episode yet. We're still gonna do a Hong Kong horror, like an extravaganza. We'll do a bunch of movies, I promise. But this episode today is Jay was one of the Druid's Hand Kickstarter backers, and he purchased an episode of his choosing on the Terror Table. So today we will be discussing 2 Hong Kong horror movies, which we're going to tackle in our main feature. The first one.
Wait a second. I think you're mixing up our episodes, man.
No, I'm not. I'm getting these backer ones out of the way.
Really? Because my backer was supposed to be Audition, man.
Okay, well then, fine. So we got to do 3 with you? We got to do 3 of these fucking things with you? Jesus.
No, we could do 2, but I thought Audition was my backer, and we were going to do the Hong Kong one.
Okay, well, today. If we do, I want Boozy and Kyle to be here for Audition, because I know especially Kyle's a big fan of that one. So
okay, fine.
We'll get to that soon. But I'm going to say today's the backer one.
Okay, fine then.
And the reason I'm saying that is thank you, Jay. Thank you for contributing to our Kickstarter. It seriously means a lot. And we really appreciate all the support. And so you chose to talk about 2 Hong Kong horror movies. And so that's what we're going to do in our main feature. The first one we're going to talk about is The Eye from 2002, and then we're going to close out with Dream Home from 2009. But before that, we're going to do our normal thing, catch up with each other, and catch up with what we've been seeing. This is our first episode that we've recorded since the film festival, so you're able to cover as many movies as you want today. We'll talk about the highlights of the film festival for you this year. But before that, Jay, would you like to hear a word from our sponsors?
Yes, I would.
The Saskatchewan Podcast Network is supported by Direct West. Is marketing getting in the way of running your business? Direct West has a local, expert team right here in Saskatchewan that will work with you to build your website exactly how you imagine it. Let them help you improve your online presence and head to directwest.com to learn more.
All right. Okay, so before we get on to talking about what we've been up to, Jay, can you give our listener base a crash course on what your history with horror is?
My history of horror?
Because currently right now, you are the only poster in the frame is a P.S. I Love You poster, which I've seen at, I think you've lived at 3 or 4 places since that place.
Yes, I have.
How does that thing just travel everywhere you go? The P.S. I Love You poster with Hilary Swank and Gerard Butler?
Yes, it does. It comes with me everywhere I go.
I was wondering why every time I see you, you're carrying that poster.
Yeah, no, I would never leave this poster behind. It is actually, I don't know if it's my favorite. It is my favorite movie ever. No, it's
is it actually?
No, it's not. Okay. But I liked it a lot when it came out. My sister bought me this, and because my sister bought me it, that's why it stays with me forever.
Sentimental connection, yeah.
See,
I've never seen it, so I don't know. I can't even comment on it. I just think it's funny that you have a P.S. I Love You poster in your house.
Yeah. But yeah, the posters from the Roxy Theater. That's when they were selling their old posters and stuff like that.
Oh, there you go.
Or Rainbow, one of those theaters. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, probably, yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, let's go back. So you are a genre fan. That's one of the reasons I was one of the guys who, when we were looking for more people for the programming committee, I was like, Jaye Luk is he's my only friend that I can think of that would fit this role. And you've been crushing it ever since. You watch every single movie that comes in. And I know the whole team really appreciates you, especially John and Jeff. There's tons of horror movies in that festival. It originally was a genre festival. Now it's everything. But horror, where does horror start for you?
So horror starts for me was there was one of the movies when we were gonna do the Hong Kong extravagant, that Hong Kong thing that we're talking about.
Yeah.
It was called Inner Senses, right? One of my show, but I didn't have the DVD copy and we didn't end up doing it. That movie, I watched it when it came out 2002, so that'd be what? 11, 10, whatever it is. I'll be 10 when it came out. 10, 11-ish. And the main guy of that movie, so it was a pretty scary movie, it has a good story and stuff like that, but the main guy in the movie killed himself like half a year after the movie came out. And he was like one of the biggest stars of Hong Kong. And ever since that, it just left like impression. The fact that that movie was like, it was scary and it scarred me as a kid. And then that emotional connection of someone that I actually admired went and like killed himself after that movie.
Yeah.
It was just like, okay. And that was it. That started. And I just kept watching more. When I got to high school, a lot of my high school friends were like really into horror movies, and they would like drag me out to go see movies at the Galaxy and stuff like that, even though that I wasn't fully into it yet. And they would put me into the trunks of cars, so because there's 5 of us or 6 of us and we couldn't fit everywhere, and I would fit in the trunk and we would go see horror movies in this one car.
What was it called? Inner Sense?
Yeah, Inner Senses.
Inner Senses. Okay.
Yeah, it was a huge deal. Like the main guy in that movie was like a huge pop star from the 80s. So think of like Hong Kong's Michael Jackson, basically.
Oh, okay.
But Hong Kong singers, they always could like act, dance, and sing. They'd always do 3 things. And he was like, he was beloved and stuff like that. And he was depressed. And I don't know, after that movie came out and he killed himself, everybody was like, oh, it must have been that he was like, he couldn't like leave the character, yada. But that was a big thing. Like that left a huge imprint in me. And I've just always been like curious. It's like, okay, why do people watch these movies if they're gonna die after movies? Kind of thing. So that was it. That was kind of the beginning of it. And then, and the high school with my friends forcing me to watch horror movies with them. Like 30 Days of Night was pretty scary as someone who didn't watch a bunch of them. Seeing like the vampire little girl. That scene, that was another one. I was like, oh my God, I don't think I want to watch this anymore. But like every time my friends like, yeah, you want to go? Like, no. They're like, yeah, we're coming to get you. We'll be there in 20 minutes.
Oh yeah.
All right. And so that's kind of like the start of it all. And eventually, I just gone to the point where I just started researching what is like the best horror movies, and I got to kind of like watch some of it. I'm always a big fan of like Kubrick.
Yeah.
But when I saw The Shining, that was probably also it too. It was like, oh yeah, that's it. That's my thing now.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. I just got tickets for December 17th in Vancouver here. They're showing The Shining and Dr. Sleep back to back with Mike Flanagan in attendance. He's going to do like an intro and a Q&A afterwards and everything. So I bought my tickets. I'm pretty stoked for that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. And that place, it's the Rio Theater. It's just like a couple blocks from my house, and it's like Vancouver's Broadway theater, but it's pretty fucking nice. It's awesome. But the thing is, like, there's a lot of incredible like Chinese, like Asian horror films. So did that play a role also? Like, did you start digging up movies from like where did the Hong Kong appreciation come?
That actually came later. So one of the things is like, if you grew up in Hong Kong, it's like on TV always like play, like the TV always plays like Hong Kong movies. Like I guess you got like your TV station that plays old movies and stuff like that. Yeah. So we would get a bunch of it, and there was a couple horror movies that does get through the rotation and stuff like that. And one of them is Out of the Dark. That was the other one that I want to talk about too, but we couldn't find a copy. So someday when I could find a legit copy of it, we'll watch that one. But that one came up, and so what happened is like when I moved to Canada when I was 15, and left Hong Kong and stuff like that, I started to be homesick, and I suddenly was like, you know what, I want to watch like Hong Kong movies because I don't get to see them anymore. Suddenly, when you don't get to see them on TV anymore, suddenly you're just like, I want to watch them. Yeah, like it just, and so that's kind of the beginning of it. And so I found a copy of Out of the Dark on YouTube, and I watched the crappy 240p, whatever 4080p was, and it brought back all the memories of just being a kid and like seeing that on TV and stuff like that. And then from there on, then yeah, I start to read up more about like the Hong Kong horrors and the Hong Kong movie in general. Because most kids who grew up in Hong Kong, we don't actually go all our way to watch Hong Kong movies. Everybody watches Hollywood movies. Like all my friends, none of them really watch Hong Kong movies anymore. It's a weird dying. It is like it's a weird dying art now. It's kind of sad to see. But when I was growing up, that was one of the things. Like my parents generally don't bring me to go see Hong Kong movies. We always go see Hollywood movies, or we always watch that kind of stuff, unless it was Infernal Affairs. That was like one of the movies that every single Hong Kong person went to see in the theater. Like
that was isn't that not the Departed?
Yeah, that's the Departed, the original Departed. Yeah, that was a big deal when it came out. Like that was like one of the movies that light up everybody's fire for like Hong Kong movies again. And everybody went to watch it. But there was a time that horror movie was kind of dying out. And when it comes to horror, like everyone would go watch like Japanese horror because like, well, The Ring and
The Grudge.
The Grudge, right? Anyways, but people watch that. People watch Korean horror kind of stuff. And and that kind of stuff. And so Hong Kong, like they had a market, but it was kind of dying out by the time I was like growing up, unfortunately. So a lot of it was because I was homesick, and I was like, yeah, I want to like read about this. I want to watch more of this, and that's what got me to watching DI, the original one, and it got me to watching Rigor Mortis and Bewitched and what are Hong Kong movies horror there's? There's a bunch of them. Hong Kong generally is like horror comedy, like
Dream Home. It's very satirical. But yeah, I know. Was it a Chinese Ghost Story? Was another one?
Yeah, Chinese Ghost Story is a great one. Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah. So obviously you're a well-seasoned film watcher. Like you watch a lot of fucking movies. Like you're one of the only people who I can think of who like would you stand toe to toe with me on a good day. Like
I don't think so, man. You're nuts. You watch like 300 movies a year.
Yeah, but I think it's because you watched every single like film festival movie.
Yeah.
Like you crush those things, but I guess it's also like you take that seriously as when you're told that you need to watch something, you watch them. You take it very seriously.
Well, I mean, I don't like to disappoint people.
Yeah. I'm all about disappointing people, right, Dad? Amen.
You're not the only one. I mean, I'm an Asian who's not a doctor, lawyer, or an engineer.
But you can drum in 3 different genres.
Yeah, there you go.
Many more genres. All right, let's start talking about movies that we've seen recently. So Jay, I'm not sure, you can talk about whatever you want. Like if you've seen some horror movies outside the festival, or if you want to talk about some of the highlights from the festival. I wrote down all the ones that I was able to catch when I flew out there for a couple days. I didn't get to see as many as I wanted to, but obviously I was there for 3 days and I needed to see movies, family, and friends. So it was pretty tough to fit it all in, but I managed to get, I think I got 5 or 6 movies in.
You got 5 or 6 in? Sweet. Yeah, we could talk about the festival first, and then I could talk about what else I also watched.
Cool. Well, what are the ones that stand out to you? Did you take some notes, or do you want me to just name off festival movies and you can tell me your thoughts?
Oh, no, I could tell you which ones stand out for me, because I know which ones stand out for me. I'm not going to talk about the ones I didn't like. Okay.
I might end up talking about those because there's every chance. We don't always agree on movies.
Yeah, no, for sure. The standout on me first thing is the Alien on Stage. That was a big one. Yeah, I was a huge fan on that. And I think anyone who is a fan of Alien really should watch that movie. It will put a smile on your face. It will. I can't see someone loving Alien and hate that movie.
No, definitely not. And same with I know a lot of people who aren't even Alien fans who loved it just because they're fans of the creative process. And it's set around a stage play and like a bunch of bus drivers who are trying to make an on-stage musical, and it's just amazing. So yeah, I definitely loved that movie as well.
Yeah, for sure. So that's a fun one. Coming Home in the Dark was a pretty good one.
Okay, I just watched that. So I didn't get to catch it at the festival, but it was on Netflix. So that's one that I want to spend a little bit of time on. So
okay. Yeah,
that one was written and directed by James Ashcroft, and it was co-written by Eli Kent. It's based off the short story of the same name by Owen Marshall. But this, man, that that is so much my kind of movie. Like, and I knew it was going to be that. Like, even just the poster, and then when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh god, this is just. It looks depressing. It looks depraved. This has got me written all over it, and it is a really, really nasty New Zealand horror thriller. A family trip is interrupted by a few seemingly deranged drifters. And yeah, this thing, it's mean. Like, this is a mean ass movie. And I would say that it's in line with stuff like Last House on the Left and Alone from last year, which was one that I know Boozy and I really liked. That one came out in 2020. But yeah, Daniel Gillies, who he plays, he's Mary Jane's boyfriend in Spider-Man 2. He's like, yeah, he's the one who, he's got like barely any speaking lines, but he went on to be this character. And fuck, he's one of those guys that when you see him on screen, you're just like, oh man, like I just loved him. Obviously I hated the character, but
Yeah.
he had so much character. And the backstory, everything about it, I fucking loved Coming Home in the Dark.
Yeah,
and your thoughts?
I know, I liked it a lot. Problem with me is I think the other programmers hyped it up too much for me, unfortunately. So
Kind of like what I just did there.
Yeah, I know. I'm a weird
I think
dude.
it's not even overhyping it. I think some people they're just going to connect to things differently. Like,
I guess so, yeah. And so sometimes that does happen to me. So when someone like really hypes up movies, sometimes I'm just like, yeah, I could see why you love this, but it didn't. But I did. It's a lot of parts that hit me. It just didn't hit me as hard as I wanted it to. But also, I have a hard time with accents in general.
yeah.
I just do. So there were definitely scenes of that movie where I had no idea what he was talking about at all.
And I watch every movie that I watch at home, I watch with subtitles on. So
yeah, that's what I do too. But my friend, my buddy was like, "You're crazy! Like you can't tell." I was like, "I think I could tell. I just want to know for sure. I heard it right."
No, for sure. And that is one of those movies where it's like you could miss a pretty important or nasty detail that, like, when they're talking about where they came from or how they know each other. And it really did help. Like, I have no idea if I would have had trouble understanding them because they have pretty thick New Zealand accents. And but I didn't have any problem with it because I was reading it the whole time.
Yeah.
But I can understand that.
Yeah, I definitely probably I will rewatch it for sure. And when I rewatch it, I'll definitely would have subtitles in. But yeah, it's a very intense, really well done gut punch movie for sure. So
yeah.
For anyone who likes being gut punched,
and depressed,
you know,
and it picks up so quick, man. Like I was like, oh, that's gonna be one of those like slow burn, and it's like literally with a bang. It's like holy shit.
Oh yeah, there was audience member afterwards was like, I almost left the theater when the first shot went off.
Well, because you wonder, it's like how far... Oh god, yeah. So I highly recommend checking out Coming Home in the Dark if you're generally into the movies that I like the very, like, I don't know, I put it in line with something like, it's like a Blue Ruin but a horror movie. And yeah, so that's like just speaking my language. Loved it. What else do you want to talk about?
I like The Feast. I know you guys were like lukewarm with it, but I did like The Feast.
No, okay, so that's another one. Yeah, I wrote it down. So it's a slow burn Welsh folk horror movie. So like the theme this year was folk horror. So we played a bunch of, like, there was a couple of older films, Clear Cut and Eyes of Fire. Did you stick around for Eyes of Fire?
No, unfortunately, all those old ones, they play at the late night, and I couldn't stay late. Unfortunately,
I only stayed for one late one, and I left halfway through because I was like, I know that I'm not giving this the attention it deserves, and we'll get to it. But
I know which one it is.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm not doing this movie. Like, it's unfair for me to watch a movie like this, like where I'm just like burnt out. That was a night where I was like, had a big family supper and everything, so I was just exhausted playing with my nieces and nephew. But yeah, The Feast. You explain The Feast. You take this one away.
Okay, so it's it's Welsh, right?
It's Welsh, yeah.
Yeah, Welsh. This rich family is trying to prepare a feast, you know, and they're inviting like their friends and stuff over to have. And the mom has this girl to come help her prepare, you know, the food, basically. But from the first shot that the girl walks in, you could just tell like something's off. And as the movie goes on, you start to figure out what's going on and who this girl actually is. And then, so it's a slow burn movie that eventually goes into like some pretty interesting directions.
Gross out horror. Like it's
Gross
like
out,
art.
yeah.
It's like art house gross out horror. And like when you think The Feast, like if you're one of those people who hates the sound of people eating,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
this one's gonna get to you. And I'm one of those people. Like I don't love it. I can tell you that. I don't love listening to people eat. But it's like what they're eating sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, and I think that's I was just I was a little. I had heard it's kind of like what you just said. It was a little overhyped. Like for me, I had heard from a couple of people involved with the festival that it was the best horror movie we were showing this year.
Yeah, but hey, in my defense, I didn't get to see it, so it wasn't me.
Yeah,
that was the first night for me too.
Also, it's I think that's amazing that we have a festival with so many people involved who like very rarely does everyone agree that a certain movie is the best movie of the year. That's what makes the festival so good and eclectic, because like it's the only festival where you can go to like I that's not true. It's just it's really good at being a festival where the audiences may be divided and drastically divided. Yes. Masking Threshold is, I know, I didn't watch it, but I saw the audience walk out, and I was like, God damn, I wish I would have watched it.
Yeah, so that's the one that I want to talk about next, because I loved Masking Threshold.
Oh, you and John both. So Masking Threshold is what this one's called.
Yeah, Masking Threshold is actually the higher ones on my list this year. I loved it, and luckily the one friend that agreed to come see it also loved it, so I invited the right kind of person to go see it. It is a movie of a guy who has tinnitus, and he locks himself in the basement, and he does different experiment to figure out what changes the pitch of his tinnitus, basically. And it's a slow burn movie where you watch this guy slowly loses his mind. And I love it because it's like
POV, isn't it? It's a POV movie.
It is, yeah, POV movie. It's like 80% like macro shots. Like it's all like a lot of zoom ins, a lot of really, really, really close camera angles and stuff like that. And it's very uncomfortable. It really uncomfortable. It will definitely creep into. Well, I mean, I don't want to say definitely, but it creep into my skin. Very grossed out.
I watched the people walk out of the theater because I think The Feast was playing right after that.
No, it was something else in between that you watched before that.
Yeah. Okay. Either way, like I watched the audience walk out, and it was like everyone was vocal. There were people like there was people in a corner trying to like they were talking about everything that they loved about it, and then there were some people saying it was one of the worst movies they've ever seen in their life.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and I love when it's that drastic.
And that's what the ballot showed too. Like it's like either 4 or 5s or like 1s. That's it. There was like no funny. 3s. It was like and I loved it. I think anyone who wants a very different approach to watching someone lose their mind should check out the movie. I think it's very good. I really do. Yeah.
Cool. So Masking Threshold. What other ones you want to talk about?
2 more. Well, actually, one's not a horror movie. Never mind. The one that you missed, Baby Assassins. I love that one, but that's not a horror movie. That's just.
I heard really good things about that one, and that was the one that you were really pulling for.
I was, yeah. That was the one. That was my choice. Like they asked.
Let's talk about it a bit.
Okay, so for my role, the festival, I get to really just push for 1 or 2 movies. That's kind of what I get to do. And Baby Assassins was my choice. It's this Japanese movie of 2 teen girls who they're assassins. That's what they do for a living.
They don't kill babies though, or do they?
They don't kill babies. No, they're just assassins. So I don't know why it's called Baby Assassins, to be honest.
Because they're teenagers, they're baby faces,
Yeah, probably. So think of like 2 cute Japanese girls who are like they're professional assassins, and the agency is making them live together as roommates now that they've just graduated high school. And they also asked them to like get a part-time job so that they could like blend in with the society. So you get to see these 2 like sociopaths who are so good at killing people and are trying to be normal people in Japan. And it's a action comedy, which is one of my favorite things to watch. Like if I run the festival, it's probably going to be an action comedy festival.
Yeah, like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be Pure Mr. and Mr. Smith. That's all it's gonna be.
Just on repeat 19 times.
And 19 times. That's gonna be my festival for sure. And that was it. And it's just a very good black comedy, very funny stuff. Also has probably one of the best fight scenes in the whole year.
Crazy.
I really
Better than
think
Malignant?
So. Oh man, Malignant's fight scene is different. Yeah, no, it's not better than Malignant. It's different. Man, I love Malignant.
Yes, thank fuck.
I'm a big fan.
Nice to have someone who's sane on the podcast.
Yeah, I showed it to my friends, and they're like, I don't know, I think this would be funner if we all saw it in person together.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess so, but like,
still
it's
great.
Amazing. Like,
yeah.
No, they didn't like it as much.
That's the Hollywood masking threshold this year.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Malignant's amazing. I also could talk about Malignant probably the whole podcast too. I
love that movie.
I really, really enjoyed it. But yes, it's different. Like Baby Assassin's fight scenes is more grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously. Okay. Yeah, so but it's very well done. And for people who likes fight scenes, like, you know, you should watch the movie. It's not going to be the best ever, obviously, because Rape Redemption already won that.
No, Terminator 2, Mad Max Fury Road.
Mad Max has no fight scene. What are you talking about, man?
Mad Max Fury Road is all fight scene.
Mad Max Fury Road is all chase scenes.
Okay, let's move on. You're right. I will say you're right. But for talking about action movies.
But yes, Baby Assassins. Yeah, for anyone who wants to watch people fight, want to watch cute girls do kawaii stuff, you know, this is the movie. And I'm glad because the audience thought the same way. Like, someone came out and was like, "Thank you for choosing something so wholesome." I was like, "Great." Now,
wholesome, and it's called Baby Assassins. I love that.
That's the thing. That's the crazy part of that movie. Is like, it shouldn't be wholesome, but it is very wholesome. It's very cute and very funny. Why you watch these two girls kill people? Anyways.
Awesome. Well, I'm sold.
And now the last highlight is Sadness, the one that you walked out halfway through.
The Sadness.
Yeah. And I think Sadness is my favorite movie of the whole festival.
Really?
Yeah, that one ended up my favorite.
Yeah, I really See, I really want to watch it, but I was like falling asleep, and it's like, imagine how, because that movie takes no time to start getting nuts. Like, I could talk about the first 20 minutes, but I'm not going to. But I really can't wait to finish it, because I know that I'm going to end up digging it. It was.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, if you're sleeping through that movie, you definitely should not be watching that movie. And that's insane that you were so tired to sleep through that movie, because the Sadness is, it's just intense from beginning to end. I think it's one of the smartest zombie movie that's written in a long time. Train to Busan was great. Like, I love Train to Busan, but I think Sadness was smarter.
Okay, but better?
I don't know. Depending on what you're looking for in a movie.
Yeah, objectively, I think it's tough to top Train.
It's tough to top, but
you loved it. Sorry,
yes, I love it. But here's the thing of why I love the Sadness. Okay, so other than the fact it has a cool twist with the zombie thing, I don't know if I should like explain what the cool twist is at all, but
no.
Okay, but basically it's like it has a cool twist in the movie. And
wait, do they show in the trailer? Because the trailer makes it look like The Happening, but what you probably thought you were going to get from The Happening, it looks like everyone's killing themselves.
Everyone's killing everybody.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they don't kill the ones that are being infected.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the movie explains. Eventually, there's like an exposition scene at the end that does explain a little more. And it was weird when you watch it. That was one thing that I was like, I don't know, do they have to explain so many things? But it actually ended up being what stuck with me after the movie. That made me thought, you know what? Actually, man, now I'm sad. Like it like I empathize with the zombies. Like, when I watch zombie movies, I don't generally empathize with the zombies. He's like, yeah, okay, it's
unless
fun to watch.
Day of the Dead.
Yeah, so it's fun to watch them get killed. It's fun to just like see them get rolled over or stuff like that. But this movie actually, if you dig it, you will feel bad for the zombies. And I did. I felt very bad for some, not all of them, but there are some that I think about them and I go, man, like that is rough. That like I was actually like, yeah, I was sad for zombies. I think this is one of the first zombie movies that I was sad for zombies. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so that's the twist for me. That's one of the things I really loved about it, on top of like the crazy action. And the last thing is, it had one of the best zombie villains ever. Like, there is a specific villain that's a zombie in the movie, and he is badass. He's absolutely disgusting. He's absolutely just like despicable, and I love him. Like, every scene he comes up, I was like, oh my god, I don't want to see what this guy's gonna do, but I really also want to see what this guy's gonna do, because it's just everything. Like, he's just so gross and so cool at the same time. So that's another thing about sadness that I think a lot of zombie movies don't have, because a lot of times the main villain is like another guy. Like, he's another guy. There's always another human messing up another human, right? It's always like, oh, the scariest thing is
the
not
humans.
the zombie, it's the humans, which is cool. Like, I like that kind of stuff. You know, I'm a huge fan of Mist and all that kind of those movies and all that.
Yeah.
But, you know, seeing a zombie actually being the guy, you're just like, oh, yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure this the one that John threw a trigger warning on before, because like, yes, I think a lot of festivals are doing it too, because this is one of those movies that's being discussed as like one of the most extreme movies of the last couple of years, and like there's we show extreme shit every year at that festival. Boy. So it's I can't wait to watch it. Fuck, I feel bad that I was falling asleep.
No, you don't feel bad. But yeah, I highly recommend.
I wasn't falling asleep because I thought it was bad. I was falling asleep because I was exhausted.
I understand that, but that's crazy how tired you were. Because it's so nuts. One thing though, like, I don't think it's the most graphic movie ever made. Just putting it out there. If you're watching a movie because you're expecting to see like a suburban film kind of thing, I don't think you're gonna see that. They're not, like, I'm not saying it's not graphic. It's very graphic, but there are also a lot of scenes where it's implied what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I thank God for them not showing whatever the hell they're doing, because some of the things that does happen in the movie, I'm like, oh my God, they are going there. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. That's
but they're not. But they're like, oh, they're not showing it. Oh, thank you.
But they're gonna make you think that that's happening. So they're painting the picture for you in your head, which is almost worse.
What? Yeah, probably. But I do appreciate that kind of movie. I do appreciate when movies make you think, and because I've seen some Letterboxd people were like disappointed at them not showing the extreme stuff, but I was like, really? The rest of the movie's not extreme enough for you? Like, how? Okay, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm done talking about sadness. Go watch it if you love
it. Awesome. I just have two more that you didn't mention that I saw at the festival that I want to give mention to. One is what was the overall theme of the festival, being folk horror. They showed the Woodlands Dark and Days Bewitched, a history of folk horror. So this is the 3-hour and 15-minute documentary that I've been just dying to see. I couldn't wait for it because I love folk horror. I think we've gotten some really solid folk horror movies this year with Antlers, and then even debatably The Feast. Yeah, this one I was just really looking forward to. Some of my favorite modern horror movies like Robert Eggers' The Witch and Midsummer, all that kind of stuff. They delve into, like, it's folk horror. This documentary is incredibly dense, and it's like it shows how important the subgenre is in horror, and this is a very academic and informative look into this kind of stuff. And it's featuring just tons of very nerdy ass people. So it's a kind of, I could see it being really dry for a lot of people. I liked it, but I think that it could have easily been an hour and a half shorter. I think it got a little repetitive. It was very needlessly overlong, and they could have easily cut this thing in half. And some of the material I initially thought was really, really interesting. Like they start off talking about like specifically what's known as the Unholy Trinity, which is Blood on Satan's Claw, The Wicker Man, and Witchfinder General. So those are movies that I absolutely fucking love. Like, I love Witchfinder General and The Wicker Man in particular. But this thing, like, those three movies really cover almost everything that there is to know about folk horror. And it's nice hearing people talk about other films and explore similar territory. But the time that they spend on those other movies, it's like, this conversation was kind of covered in the Unholy Trinity. Like, it almost would have been cool having a really dense hour and a half, really tight hour and a half just on the unholy trinity. It was cool seeing, Robert Eggers like in the film actually talking about folk horror. And this is one of those ones that I think it'll grow on me over time, and I'm certain I'm gonna watch it again at some point. But it's kind of like a coffee table book. Like, you have like, I have so many of these like cinema books or like Star Wars art books or something that you just have on the coffee table, and you open it up and you can flip through. You could go to the middle of the book and you'll just look at something, carry on with your day. I think Woodlands is going to be one of those ones where it'd be great to have on in the background while you're cleaning your house, while you're like doing laundry or doing something. But sitting in a theater for that long is it's a trek, specifically when it's covering this kind of material. It's not like, when you see like, what's another, like, there's been, I don't know, this is a really bad comparison, but Wolf of Wall Street, it's like a 3-hour movie. It feels like it's like 25 minutes. Like, not one time I've seen the movie so many times, and not once has it felt longer than an hour and a half, because it's so fast paced.
Oh no, yeah.
This is not one of those cases. It's a documentary. It's a very academic documentary, and I still recommend checking it out. But I think you should definitely wait for it to be at home so that you can pause it, take some breaks, or fill up your coffee or stretch your legs, because it's a long one. So that is Woodlands, Darkened Days, Bewitched: A History of Folk Horror. The last one I'm going to talk about today is the beta test, which we both saw that one together.
Yeah, we saw it together. That was the only one we saw together.
Yeah. Did you see it prior? Like, it was
Yes,
did you see it 2 times now? So
yeah, that's my second time. Yeah.
So now you say that you didn't. You're not going to talk about the ones you didn't really like. Did you not like the beta test?
Oh no, I mean, like, it wasn't like my highlight. Like, I liked it, but it's not like, out of all the ones I want to talk about, that wasn't one that like that one's like a middle of a. It's a middle role for me. I like it, but I didn't like really, really like it, or would say I love it. It's not like Sadness. Like, I love Sadness. I love Baby Assassins. I love Masking Threshold. I love Alien on Stage.
Yeah, and I think you're entirely accurate there. I think the reason I was just wanted to talk about this one, I was so excited for it, is because it was written and directed by Jim Cummings, who previously did The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which is a movie that I know Boozy and I think Boozy, Kyle, and I all really like.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah, I definitely like that one much, much more than this. The synopsis is he's an engaged Hollywood agent receives a mysterious letter for an anonymous sexual encounter and becomes ensnared in a sinister world of lying, infidelity, and digital data. I don't think that even really sums the movie up very well. It's just, I think this one, I had a really good time with it. I don't think it succeeded in everything he was setting out to do. I think that's also just, this is going to be another one of those ones where you're either going to really fucking hate it or you'll just enjoy it, because it comes down to if you like Jim Cummings and if you're still okay with watching Jim Cummings be Jim Cummings, because that's what he's doing again. And I happen to be one of those people who thinks he slays at comedy. I think he's super funny. Like, a lot of people, like, we saw this with Jesse, like Jambi, and he hated Wolf of Snow Hollow. I'm pretty sure he said this was better than a Wolf of Snow Hollow, but
really,
I was like laughing a couple times because like I was laughing harder because I'd look over at him and he'd be just so just annoyed. Like, he was just hating every second of it. And I think it's just, he really doesn't like Jim Cummings' comedy. A lot of people don't, and I understand that. I think also a lot of people think that he's a bad actor, and I think those people are fucking insane. Oh yeah, well I've read a lot of reviews of people being like that this, because the movie is based around him being kind of a narcissist. Yeah. And it's like he is not the characters that he plays. He plays a pretty similar character every once in a while, but I guess 3 times in a row now. But the thing that sets this one apart from Thunder Road and Wolf of Snow Hollow is he's really hateable in this one. Like, he's such a dick, and that's the point of the movie. If you're into Hollywood culture at all, or like there's tons of Entourage jokes in this thing, and he's basically playing Ari Gold. That should be all that you really need to hear to see if you're going to check it out. He sets him up for failure here by playing such a piece of shit. Like, he's just such an awful person. And it's like, it's hard to care about it at all. But for me, I was just kind of laughing because there was those moments where he'd be taking jabs at Hollywood agents or like those types of Hollywood people. And I don't know. I liked it. It's a middle of the road for me as well, though. I wouldn't give it a super glowing review, but I'm still looking forward to see what he does next, but I think he's got to switch it up a little bit.
I think he's better when he tries to make his movie like spookier. Like I really liked Wolf of Snow Hollow because I think the spooky moments are done well.
Yeah.
And I like in the beta test he does still have those really, really cool shots that he does. Yeah. Like the surround going to the circle stuff.
Established his style.
Yeah, and I love watching that. Like I love watching his camera works in his movies. Like the things he come out are those are still entertaining to watch. But yeah, but as a story, I think he should just stick to writing like scary movies. I think he should write another scary movie. I really think so.
Yeah, well, it's hard to disagree with you there because I fucking loved Wolf of Snow Hollow so much. But I don't know. I also wouldn't mind just seeing him stay behind the camera for a movie.
Or I guess so. Yeah, that'd be good too. Yeah.
Yeah, like I like him. But I think his shtick, it's going to get old for people really quick. And, I guess some people, like, I don't know, even me, like, I'm a big fan. And the beta test, I was like, yeah, well, he's kind of just doing that thing again.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know if it's going to have legs.
No, I don't think this one's going to, I really don't think this one's going to catch as much of Wolf of Snow Hollow.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, those are the last ones I wanted to mention today. So if you want to mention a couple more.
For the festivals?
Or whatever. Just talk about whatever, man.
Talk about whatever? All right, then. Well, actually, I watched a lot since COVID. I listened to a lot of your podcasts. I'm making down your list of, like, terror table favorites movies.
Yeah.
I finally watched some of the heavy hitters in horror. I've never seen Exorcist until, like, this year.
The original?
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
I've never seen it until this year, and I don't know how I never seen it because it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece. Stone cold masterpiece.
It is. That ending of that movie is one of my favorite horror endings now. I love the ending so much. I was just like, what? How have I never seen this? This is so badass.
I'm kind of like shocked.
I'm sorry.
You've seen a lot, and I'm just I love that you just got to it now, and it still worked so well for you.
Oh, it worked so well. And like all the creepy parts are still creepy, but I really love the ending. I just love how it sets up to that last Exorcist scene. How I'm sure everyone's seen this movie.
Yeah,
but the fact that this guy who's losing his faith, decides to take on Satan, and then this badass like priest comes up and does it, and he dies midway. I'm like, what? I love that twist so much. And then the guy finally was like, just like possess me instead. He was gonna sacrifice himself to go to hell because he was gonna kill himself. I love that. I was like, oh my god, he's gonna go to hell to save this girl.
Yeah.
And then to have one of the other priests come at last moment so he gets to confess so he doesn't actually go to hell. Man, they don't write endings like that anymore. Like I think that's like
they don't make movies that good. Like it's really one of the best movies ever made, like in all genres. I firmly believe that. Like now think about your reaction to that in 2021. And now think about seeing it in 1973 when there's like no other movies to even compare to it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Crazy. I would, man, it's an awesome movie. I loved it. I never seen actually Nightmare on Elm Street either too, I think until this year.
Are you fucking serious? The original?
I'm serious.
Crazy.
I love it. I'm not kidding, man. I was making like last year when I went at the festival, I told you I finally watched the Blair Witch Project. That was like that was the first time last year. I am making down your favorites. I'm not kidding. So I watched Nightmare on Elm Street finally. I see why everybody loves it so much. I watched SALÓ because of Scott's episode with you guys.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I gotta check it out, and I did.
What were your thoughts on that one? Let's talk about SALÓ, 100 Days of Sodom.
Oh, great. My thoughts on it. I thought it was a very good movie. Love is the wrong word, but I
appreciated it.
I appreciate it a lot. There's a lot of things about it. I think it's very dreamy. That weird thing to say. It's a very dreamy movie, and those moments are great. The moment that was on the poster, like if you've seen a poster and you've seen the movie, you would know what I'm talking about. But you haven't. I don't know if I should tell you what happens. But
did it make you hungry?
Oh yeah, very much so. I
got very hungry. You had to go get some chocolate ice cream afterwards.
Yeah, I ate some chocolate ice cream afterwards with like a full brownie fudge.
Oh god.
Anyways, but yeah, I think it's super well done. I think if you like art house, gross out movies, I think you should check it out. But it is definitely hard to watch. What else I watched? I finally watched The Guest.
Oh yeah, baby.
I watched
Thoughts?
The Guest. I was a big fan of the ending of The Guest. The
Yeah.
moment they got to the end, and then it was hall, and then they had to go through the haunted maze to get to the hall, and then it was just like all that mist
Yeah.
in
All
the
the
hall, all the fog. Yeah, I was a big fan of that.
Have you
end.
seen Halloween yet? John Carpenter's Halloween?
I saw that last year. That was also like one of the ones that was going down list. I've watched that first one too. Yeah.
Okay. And
So
what about Halloween 3? Season of the Witch.
I have not seen Halloween 3 yet.
Okay, you got to put that near the top of your list. But there's tons of homages to Halloween 3 and Halloween and Terminator in that movie.
Well, I got the Terminators ones, and I got
Yeah.
the Halloween ones, but I didn't realize that there was also Halloween 3 homage. So I'll definitely check out that one too. But yeah, The Guest was it was great. It was a very, very good movie. I think out of all the ones that you guys in your tops that I watched I didn't like was The Strangers.
Yeah, that's totally fair. That's the one that comes down for everyone. Like,
Yeah.
man, that is such a divisive movie. And doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I appreciate it, but I think The Dark and the Wicked is a way better movie.
What?
That
Oh
is
my God.
what I feel.
Yeah, you're a psychopath.
I think The Dark and the Wicked is a way better movie than The Strangers. But here's my reason. All right, and I probably people are gonna hate me for saying this, but Liv Tyler is so useless in the movie. She's so useless to
What
the
was
point.
she supposed to be? It's such a realistic take on it.
I don't know, man. Like for me, I like watching these kinds of movies, but when the main person is as useless as Liv, it just takes me out. Like I just takes me out every time she's on the screen.
Yeah.
And so I love all the parts without her. Like I love whenever the mask guys came in, I was like, this is cool. They when they were like menacing going around. I love all that stuff. I love the banging noise. All that was really effective with me. It spooked me hard.
I'll keep that in mind next time I'm in the city.
But when Liv Tyler was just so useless, I couldn't. Made me so mad. It's a different mad. It's that mad I like. Like sadness is a mad that I like.
Yeah.
Like it was like a mad. I was like, yeah, okay.
You were getting frustrated with her.
Yeah, but
because you think you'd be able to do better.
I think that would be less stupid. I don't think that would do better. I still think I'd get killed, but she wasn't even trying. She was just like, please kill me. The whole movie. I'm like, anyways, Strangers was only one of the ones that I know was higher on the guys' list. I didn't dig it. I think The Dark and Wicked is way better written. I really think so. I love it.
I really like that movie as well. But no, it's funny, man, because that's like The Strangers is this one that so many people like Boozy and myself like hold in such high regard because it was like the movie. It's probably one of the last movies to really fucking scare me because I saw it in the theater when it came out. It still scares me, honestly. I think it's just very the realism in knowing that those types of things actually happen because it's based off multiple different types of real cases. I don't know. It's like 42% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like a lot of people hate that movie.
Oh yeah, and the things I also it's not just you guys. Like my friends love The Strangers. Like I showed them The Dark and the Wicked, and the first thing you said was like, I thought, it's like when you said that this is like by the guy made Strangers, But it was good
because you do. Yeah, Jay, you do. This is something that a lot of more people should do. But you do Discord nights where we'll have movie nights with your pals. Yeah. And I know I had, I think we had watched Dream Home, and then I had to go to bed because I had to work the next day, and then you showed them The Dark and the Wicked.
I did, yes. That's exactly what I did. Yeah. It was not going to be a happy night.
Yeah, what a punishing evening.
That's the way I like to roll it. But
and then the midnight movie, the midnight screening, P.S. I Love You.
P.S. I Love You is a very sad movie. So it would actually
fit right in.
It would fit right in, yeah. But yeah, so that's those ones are heavy hitters. I think I cover all the heavy hitters, but one that you guys don't talk about at all, which end up being one of my favorite horror movies the last 5 years, is the remake of Suspiria.
Oh, I I put it on my top 10 the one year, I think.
You had a 3.5 is what you gave it on Letterboxd.
That was the first time. Is it still that? Because
I
I've
don't
watched
know.
it since.
That's what I saw.
I had this conversation actually on Friday night. Like we had some people over, and a person was over, and we were talking about like all my movies in my collection. And I have both the Suspiria movies, and there are like I love Dario Argento's Suspiria. There are days where like I think I might like the remake more now. Like watching it at home was a whole different experience than watching it at the Roxy. Because keep in mind, I watched that. It was it was November. It was fucking freezing cold, and I saw it at midnight at the Roxy.
So it's like, tired.
Oh my god, tired. And then that's a lot. That movie is not short. And,
no, it's not. Yeah, it's very slow.
No, I love that movie now.
Yeah,
again, that one's grown on me. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's one that you guys don't talk a lot, but I love Suspiria. I watched it because Jason Hamill talked to me about it. He was like, it's like, I know you love Radiohead. Like, have you seen Suspiria? I was like, no. And he's like, you should watch Suspiria. Because I didn't watch it because I saw your not lukewarm, but you liked it. And I know Scott Hamilton wasn't a big fan of it. And on top of it, one of my friends who writes movie reviews, I'm not dragging him down because he writes some great stuff on his website with his brothers. But he hated the movie. And me and him have similar tastes. And stuff. So when I saw it, I was like, okay, I'm probably gonna hate it, but no, I loved it. I think it's one of the best of the last 5 years. But when I watch it, I definitely realize that I think which movie is my thing. Like, yeah,
me too, man.
When I was watching, I was like, I think which movies might be my favorite thing because that was it. Like that clicked to me. I was like, this is so good. Like this is so mesmerizing. And then it started clicking. It's like that's why I love Midsommar more than I probably shouldn't say that on your podcast.
No, I'm a guy who I love both Hereditary and Midsommar.
Oh yeah, but I'm a big fan of Hereditary. Don't get me wrong, but I love Midsommar.
I would say that Hereditary is almost more witchy than Midsommar.
I don't know. For me, Midsommar is more the witch movie. For me. But I probably just have to rewatch Hereditary again. But I love Midsommar. I remember coming out of that theater and all my friends like, "Oh, that was pretty good. It's not as good as Hereditary." And I didn't say anything because I was like, "Really? Huh?"
Yeah, you liked it way more.
I loved it. But I love Suspiria. It's amazing. I think it's amazing.
Yeah. It's great. Cool. All right. Well, let's take a short little break, and then we're gonna get on to our main feature where we're gonna be talking about The Eye from 2002, and then we're going to have some crazy fucking whiplash and talk about Dream Home, a completely different type of Hong Kong film. So we will see you guys on the other side. And welcome to our main feature presentation where we're going to be talking about The Eye from 2002 and Dreamhouse from 2009. But kicking off with The Eye, let's kick it over to Jaye Luk. So Jay, why did you choose The Eye?
I chose The Eye because when I said that in the 2000, there was like a renaissance of like Hong Kong horror movies, while like Japan was putting out The Ring and like Korea was putting out Tales of Two Sisters, something around those time. Yeah. So they're all similar around time. The Eye was like the champion out of like Hong Kong, I think. Like, it was that movie that put Hong Kong back in the map. Yeah. Oh, and Thailand was putting out Shudder and movies like that. So I forgot a huge, heavy Asian horror movie country. Yeah, so The Eye that was it. Like if you think about that early 2000 movies out of Asia, The Eye was one of the ones that got people into watching Hong Kong horror movies again. So that's why I picked it, I think.
Yeah. And because you love the Jessica Alba remake?
Yes, definitely.
Have you've obviously seen it?
I've actually never seen the remake.
Me neither. I never got through it. I'm pretty sure I saw the first little bit, but I stopped it. I was about to fucking snap if you had seen the Eye remake, but you hadn't seen The Exorcist until now.
Well, I've watched a lot of dumb movies. This is when I choose.
I'm not gonna fight you there.
It's like, okay, how about this? I've never seen The Godfather.
Oh yeah, see that's like the easiest one to go to.
Not a single one. You know, everybody tells me I should watch The Godfather. I've seen Apocalypse Now. I love Apocalypse Now. Yeah. I've never seen The Godfather. I don't know. I haven't had the mood to sit down for 3 hours to watch a gangster. Actually, that's a lie. I watch a bunch of gangster movies every 3 hours, but I just haven't watched Godfather yet. So it's the same thing, and that's why I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best to make down my list of things that I'm supposed to, but I don't know. Sometimes I just like to watch rom-coms and watch people kiss each other.
Yeah, that's generally your thing, from what I've gathered.
I love rom-com. Love rom-com. I could talk about rom-com all podcasts. Maybe I should have chose a rom-com for this.
Yeah, because you could have. Derek Yakimchuk got one of these, and he chose Ace Ventura.
There you go, man.
Okay. Well, let's give our listeners a synopsis of The Eye. So do you want to take that away as well?
So The Eye is a movie about this young Hong Kong girl who is blind since she was 2, and she recently got cornea surgery. And after the surgery, she starts to see things that she's not supposed to see, which are, well, ghosts. And that's basically the movie. That's the movie of this girl who has been blind, who can see ghosts now. But that setting sets for some very, very interesting things, because should I keep going on?
Yeah, go. Yeah, this is yours, baby.
So one of the things I really, really dig about this movie, and especially this setting, I think it's such a smart setting, because this girl, because she's been blind since 2, she doesn't know what she's not supposed to see.
Yeah.
Because she's just learning the visual language of the world again. And in this movie,
for the first time, really.
Exactly. And so in this movie, as an audience, right at get-go, when you see ghosts, the audience knew that she was seeing ghosts the first time the ghost showed up, or first time a ghost show up, or anything creepy shows up. But she doesn't. So she goes and interacts with these spirits, with these ghosts, while as an audience member, you're shaking in your seat going like, no!
No, you're not supposed to go over there.
You're not supposed to go over there. He's like, that's a ghost, you dumb bastard. And I love that setting. I think it's one of the smartest settings for a ghost movie. I think it's so smart because it creates so much tension if you, as an audience member, if you pick up the cues. And that's another thing that I want to talk about a little bit. Because Asian movies does have different cues than Western horror movies. So when you watch it, you guys might not pick up as many cues. But for me, who's ingrained with that kind of culture, there's certain scenes immediately, they're just goosebumps comes, because I know you're not supposed to touch those. I know you're not supposed to be that close to certain things. And she doesn't know. And you're just like, oh no, you poor thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the lead, who's her character is Wong, is played by Angelica Lee, who I think is this movie kind of lives on her shoulders. She is really fucking good in this movie. So this is the second time I've seen it, because I watched both of these movies when we were planning on doing this episode about a year ago. And so I revisited it last night. And I really liked it the first time, but I think it grew on me a little more the second time, because I think this is pretty much echoing everything you just said. It's very smart. This is a very intelligent horror movie. I think the thing that I like most about it is it taps into a sweet spot of mine that you don't see all the time. And that's really sweet ghost stories. And it's even though there are terrifying moments, if I would have seen this when I was a kid, it would have wrecked me. And I know, because I had one friend who was from the Philippines, and he was a very big fan of this movie. And I know that has nothing to do with I know how different that is, but he was very passionate about this movie, saying it's one of the scariest movies he's ever seen. Yeah. And he had told me about scenes and just described it to me. Yeah. And even him just describing it was so chilling for me growing up. Yeah. I would have been 12 years old when this movie came out. Yeah. And I think, above everything, it's a very, very chilling and beautiful ghost story. But it doesn't skimp out on the actual, the jump scares. And I think you're probably right in saying that you're definitely right that there's always going to be a little bit of a cultural divide. When for a North American audience or Western audience to be consuming these types of films, there's fear is a universal language. It just so happens to be different everywhere else. And there's a lot of really that's where I see watching this movie. I was trying to find other movies that I've seen later that were clearly inspired by this.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them. Like this is one of those movies where you can blink and you can miss something. Specifically, one shot that kind of comes to mind is when they're on a subway, and it doesn't. Do you know what I'm talking about? And it doesn't really go anywhere.
No, because I was going to talk about that shot too. Yeah, it's an amazing shot. Yeah,
and it's like right at the beginning when the scene starts, and it's like right there in the
even the beginning. It actually comes back.
Usually they wait. The timing is different. Like it's like the scene changes, and it's like, wait a minute, was there something like behind her? And then I was just like, oh fuck, yeah, that totally was.
But there's a story element of why that happened that way. At least I think it is. Okay,
so let's hear.
Okay, so you're talking about the subway scene where you see the ghost face behind, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And that was after after a death of a pretty is a pretty important young character that we get to interact through the whole movie, and finally it was like a devastating scene, and then the next scene is that subway scene. I think the reason that we don't get scared by that part, it's not meant to be scary, is because that's the moment she decided that she's not going to be scared anymore.
Yeah. Oh, I guess so, because that isn't like third act.
Exactly. So at that point, it makes perfect sense that that's not supposed to scare you. It's just something that just kind of happens. But obviously, as us as an audience member, we're still like, what is that? Oh, that's a pretty freaky face. But for her, that's the moment she's like, I'm not going to be scared anymore because I see it anyways. I see ghosts anyways. I'm just going to like deal with it. Yeah. But that's how I feel when I watch that movie. If that makes sense.
And she's accepting it, and she's kind of just surrounded by these spirits, by these ghosts.
Yeah, because that's the part after that her good friend, the girl, dies. Oh, so she has for anyone never seen this movie, she has a friend that she makes at the beginning of the movie when after her surgery. And this little girl, you get to interact with her, super cute and stuff like that. And the girl has cancer. So obviously nothing ends well for this cancer girl. And so
cancer
by the
girl,
time
that's what she was billed as on IMDb as well. Cancer girl.
Yeah. And when the cancer girl finally, bites the dust in the movie, which is like a big emotional moment, this is when the main character decides that she's no longer going to be scared by spirits because she had a chance to see the cancer girl one more time after cancer girl passed.
Jesus. I know what you're saying, but fuck.
Anyways, so that's the subway scene, and I think it's a good like part of the story. It is progressing to the point where and I think a lot of horror movies like this too, right? That you're scared. You're only scared for like half the movie because after you've seen it enough times, it just usually you're not scared of things anymore.
Yeah.
Except The Shining. The Shining gets scarier as it goes on. But and so I think it was also very smart in the script that they put that in there where it's like as an audience member you're probably gonna get less scared at by that point. And so there's a tonal shift there. The movie really gets a big tonal shift from that point of the movie, and you're no longer really terrified of spirits anymore. But the ending has an utter twist that makes you stress for something else. And I think that's also another very smart part of the movie of understanding the tendency of people and when it comes to like jump scares and tension.
Yeah. No, you're entirely right.
Yeah.
And because it really does just like it kind of reaches a crescendo where it just kind of turns into more of like an emotional adventure, kind of like a mystery, like because when they go back and they're actually figuring out where these eyes came from and how she got them and what these eyes have seen prior and what it means for her to have these eyes in her head now.
Yeah, it's basically Spider-Man with ghosts.
Yeah, pretty much it is.
Yeah, with great responsibility.
Yeah,
with great power comes with great responsibility. There you go.
Yeah, finishing a thought that I had before too about clearly this movie inspired a lot of the filmmakers that I really admire now. Have you had a chance to see Last Night in Soho yet?
Not yet.
Okay, I'm not going to spoil anything then, but there's a moment, like a pretty crucial scene in this movie where I was just like, holy fuck, like that's for sure where Edgar Wright was inspired, at least. Like he was inspired by that. And
that's awesome.
It's a scene that a lot of people like I've read, like a lot of people turned on Last Night in Soho at a certain point. I loved it from start to finish. Like I thought it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, like and you can just see, you can see the influence that this movie had. And that's one thing I will say though, is that you have to be forgiving to a certain extent of movies from this era, because the VFX are pretty rough. But it's the storytelling that's so engaging and beautiful in this movie.
Well, it is. Yeah, I think the script is really, I think it's a great script. I love the story. But yeah, you're right. You're right about, it's like watching Hellboy again, and you're like, I remember that first scene being nicer looking.
In what, sorry?
In Hellboy, like the 2004.
Oh yeah, the Guillermo. Yeah, Guillermo's
Guillermo. Yeah, and when like Hellboy was like climbing, I rewatched it again, I think a few years ago, and it's like, oh man, CGI really isn't holding up anymore.
No, and that's still a great movie, and so is Golden Army. But like, I know exactly what you mean. But like this one, they were toying with a lot of visual effects that hadn't really been perfected yet, and you can see it through and through in this movie. And I think that's one of those things that's gonna deter a large audience. Like I think looking back on it now, it's gonna be hard to sell people on it. But if you're just down for the ride and you're down for the story, it's a really great movie.
But I do think there's one scene though.
Is it a jump scare?
No, the jump scare I love.
There's one really solid jump scare that uses VFX, and it looks great.
Yeah, and that jump scare is the reason why every time that I sit on anybody's chair, I get a little bit hesitant. Yeah. Also, in context of people who don't actually understand Asian people, and when it comes to like ghosts in a second here, we are very superstitious. Like, we are very superstitious. And this movie is a highlight of like everything of why we're that way, kind of thing. It is like.
Let's explain. Yeah, explain some of that then. Like, so where's the superstitions come from?
So like, okay, so I don't know. It's just, I think culturally, we are always been this way. It's just as a culture, we are very superstitious, and I don't know if it's because it's like we're more dense in people because there's so many of us or whatnot. It just seems like spooky stuff happens more often. Like, I've heard a lot of spooky stories growing up, and then people around me, my relatives. My mom is a ICU nurse in Hong Kong, and she told me stories like where she would like walk into a corridor, and it would just be colder for her.
Yeah.
And she just knows someone passed, and she would go into the room, confirm, someone's dead. And that kind of stuff. And I constantly hear these stories growing up. My girlfriend is from Thailand. When we went to go Bangkok to visit her parents a few years ago, the first thing she said, it was like, okay, if it's the middle of night and you hear someone calling out your name, do not answer.
Really?
Yeah, she's like, if you just see nothing and you hear your name being called, she's like, go back to bed. It's literally what my girlfriend said to me. In Thailand, that was her warning. It's like, do not answer to any calls of your name in the middle of the night if you don't see anything. And if you do see something, still go back to bed because you don't know what you're seeing.
Yeah.
So that's how
really it's going to be someone like your fucking dad's fallen and broken his hip and he needs to go to the hospital, but you're I'm not going.
Well, that's the thing. It could be, okay? But for them, it's not. For us, it's very serious. For us, it's like, you could be possessed just like that. You could, things do happen. And a lot, if you actually watch a lot of like the older Hong Kong horror movies, a lot of times it's like about people going to Thailand and accidentally pissing off the wrong person and getting cursed. Like getting cursed and getting like black magic done on them.
Oh man, like I know. Well, because the one of my sweet spots, because I definitely have what's it called? I have a blind spot for Hong Kong horror movies, which is why it's great that I got a buddy like you. You can show me this kind of stuff. But I'm really into Indonesian horror, and Satan's Slaves is one that comes to mind for that too. Have you've seen Satan's Slaves?
Like, I've not seen Satan's Slave, but I will check it out now. If that's
check that out. Yeah, check Satan's Slaves and Impetigore. His other movie, Impetigore, I actually like more. But yeah, that explains why. There's the fact that the culture is so spiritual, it offers up such good storytelling, and it offers up so many different areas to explore a story that you just will not get in other cultures. And
especially because we view it very differently. We believe it. You know, and I know it's a dumb thing for me to say I believe it, but I as much as
I don't
say
think
I
that's
don't,
a dumb thing.
as much as I could tell you that I don't believe it, I definitely believe it. Somewhere in the core of me, after all these years of being in that culture, I do. I don't know. I unfortunately I have not experienced any of it myself, but I know my uncles have, you know, Pan's parents have. One of the weird things, like, okay, so this is an example. This is a dumb kind of, you know, stories we hear. So my girlfriend Pan, she has a friend who had a little black magic done on her when she was younger. Basically, it's like this Thai tattoo, and this black magic helps her to get boys. Like, literally makes her more attractive to boys. Okay,
What?
That's what the curse does. It's like, so when you do black magic, it's not always a bad thing. Sometimes it's things to help you. That's why there's black magic, right? But sometimes it goes bad, and then things happen, which is what rigor mortis is about. That's why I want to talk about that movie too.
Wait one fucking second here. So she actually got a tattoo.
Yeah, she got a little tattoo
to help
when
her
she was,
get
let's say,
dudes.
Get dudes, yeah, when she was like 14 or 15, you know, right? Whatever it is, all right? And that's what apparently what
I thought that's what my Godsmack tattoo was going to do. It was going to get me girls.
Anyways, but this was like this my girlfriend's friend did, okay? And then eventually later now they met in life. There's a Thai restaurant here in Saskatoon, and the owner brings like a monk in to do blessing and stuff like that every year. Okay, and this monk's supposed to be like a really good monk. Yeah. He could see spirits and stuff, right? The moment she met this friend, let's call her friend A. I'm just gonna call her Jessica because it's easier for her to tell. Sorry. But the moment he saw Jessica, he was like, and she tripped right in front of him. No one tripped in front of him. But the moment that he saw her, she tripped, and the monk's like, "You had a curse on you," and the girl's like, "How do you know?" He's like, "You have a curse on you. You've done something." And then the girl's like, "Yeah, I did when I was like 14. And then, and the monk then told her, like, what she should do to try to dissolve the curse, because she's like, "I know at the moment it's good for you as a kid, but now that whatever years pass, these things come back and bite you back if you don't pay it back, in Thai spirit or whatever it is, So she went and did all that kind of stuff. But the thing is, like, this crazy monk, you never met this girl. The moment that she saw her,
maybe he saw her tattoo and knew. It was like, hey, that's a black magic tattoo.
Not like that. I don't think that's what iPad.
Is this live?
This is not live.
We're not live.
It's scary shit. It's scary, Mitch.
Yeah.
I know you guys don't believe it, but I do.
Yeah, oh, no, I'm saying I'm listening to it. I believe it.
Because she was there. She saw it. And she just like, how do you know? And then she would tell her things about her life that he has no business knowing.
Yeah, and he just know like details, not just like broad.
Yeah, not like not horoscope, like, this today's your bad day. No, he was like, oh, your mom did this, your dad did this, your grandpa did this,
That's in Saskatoon, though?
That's in Saskatoon.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Saskatoon. No, actually, the monk is from Winnipeg.
Oh, Winnipeg. Sorry, yeah.
He doesn't even speak my language, because like the owner is Lao and monk is Lao, so they speak their own. So I never communicate with him because I don't know how to speak Lao. And he just started like saying things, and then like people would translate to me. I was like, what the fuck? Like, how do you know that?
Oh my god.
Anyway,
that's so fucked.
So because of these stories, like, it's hard for me to not go like, oh, this is all bullshit, because like there are things like, how? Like, because like it's not, we don't go out tell people about our life story or family story. These anyways,
this monk probably doesn't have Facebook.
It probably does not have Facebook, yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, but that's how seriously we take this spiritual stuff,
Yeah.
And in the eye, that's what happened. Like when the grandma realized that she's seeing the ghosts, that is exactly where she went. She went and found a Chinese priest, a Taoist priest, to come exorcist. And that's why he was explaining, when you kill yourself is a sin and you relive your suicide over and over again. And then he proceeded to try to help them beat the curse, because the grandparent just thought that, like, the grandma just thought that, like, this one kid ghost was just the only thing haunting her. They didn't realize that she was seeing them because she got the cornea, lens, kind of thing. And so that there's the scene before the elevator, because the elevator is my favorite.
The elevator is the highlight.
Yeah, but the scene before the elevator, right before she walks in, and they're burning the report card. And that's the thing, is that if you don't, you might not realize that they're burning report card, because report cards look differently everywhere. But they were burning report card to trying to get the spirit of the boy to dissipate, or not dissipate, but to like be able to like leave peacefully to the underworld. So we in Chinese, we have like the normal world, we have the underworld where dead people go. And if you're really sin bad, and I'm talking about, this is like the mix of Buddhism and Taoism, because Chinese culture is mix of those two cultures. So it's not completely one and the other one. But if you are more Taoist person, then you would believe more that type of hell. And if you're more Buddhist person, you believe more the Buddhist type of hell. So my girlfriend Pan, because she's Thai, they're more Buddhist, so their hell is kind of similar to the Chinese Buddhist hell. Anyways, but the suicide is bad for both sides. Doesn't really matter. You're constantly reliving your sins, regardless of what is. That's what suicide does to you. And so at that moment, they were burning the kid's report card, because that is his thing, that he unfinished business. His unfinished business, that he killed himself because his parents didn't believe him that he lost his report card. And he went and jumped out of the building and killed himself. I don't know if you caught that story.
No, I didn't catch that.
Okay, so that's the storyline. That's the little kid. The first ghost she talks to.
Yeah.
That little kid.
So he killed himself over his report card, and so that's the vessel that's holding him?
That's the vessel that's holding him. So before the elevator scene, when she walks in, she was like, "What are you guys doing?" They're like, "Oh, nothing. Just go up." They were trying to hide the fact from her that they're trying to deal with this ghost, because they didn't know that she knows. They didn't understand that she herself are seeing spirits. They just thought that one ghost was haunting her. So that's what I was saying. If you're not Asian, you miss a lot of these subplots. Yeah. You don't understand just how many layers this movie goes on. And that's one of the layers. So they're trying to help her by actually burning the report card. So now we, and Chinese believing, and Thai actually, we believe by burning things is how we give things to the dead, to spirits. So every year, me and my family, we go to our graves of my grandparents and my great-great-grandparents, and basically all my family who moved to Canada since the 1800s. We go to all their graves and we burn them some ghost money. We what they call hell money or ghost money. It means the same thing. Basically, it's just money for them to spend in the underworld. And we burn them some things to eat and stuff like that, just to as like a tribute kind of thing. Now, I
attended one of these recently, unfortunately, actually. This is really weird, but like a friend of mine passed away, it would have been last year, and they had a Chinese ceremony for him where they were like his favorite food, like his junk food, was like Cheetos. And everyone in attendance had a Cheeto, and we'd go and put it into the fire, and it was really, really beautiful.
Yeah, to give it to him. So for my grandpa, it's coffee crisp.
Yeah, see, like it sounds ridiculous. Like you say, Cheetos, but it was like a really emotional. Obviously, it was his funeral, but it was really emotional, really beautiful. It's something I'd never seen before.
Yeah, so that's what we.
They planted a tree for him as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's great for them. That planted tree is a different thing. That thing does have Western infused into it. That part is not pure Chinese, but the burning Cheeto thing is definitely Chinese. And we always bring. So if your uncle likes to smoke, we usually burn a pack of smoke for them. My dad always does that for his brothers. He always brings an extra pack of my uncle's favorites.
That's your guys' way of pouring one out for the homies.
We also pour one out too. That's also in it. We pour one out because for Chinese, it's very important to have the alcohol. We have the rice. We have the meat.
All the good stuff.
Fruits. All the good
cigarettes.
Stuff. Yeah, and we give them all. And then the cigarettes,
Do you ever burn a porno mag for old creepy uncle?
Unfortunately, none of my uncles are creepy. But that's actually, if you watch enough Hong Kong movies, you might see a scene of something like that. Someone burning a porno. I'm sure there's a movie that did that. But that's the thing. That's how we give something. And it's, in a way, it's like, it's not that I believe that's true. Like, I don't think for sure the money goes to them, but it's also just something for me to play. Like it's for me to say thank you, I guess. Yeah. And just still saying that I remember you, we're here. We're still here. And thank you for everything. So so we do that for the grave thing every year. So, but anyways, in that scene when they were burning stuff, it's not like they're burning stuff for no reason. They're burning the kid's report card. So he could get the report card. So he could not kill himself again. Like, because he has it now. That his thing is finished.
Yeah. Okay. So the cycle's closed. So is that kind of like I know I'm jumping everywhere, but this is kind of a really interesting, cool history lesson for me.
Yeah.
But like the suicide forest. Do you know like
I know about the Japanese suicide forest. Yeah.
Is that like so that would be like I guess that's for a conversation for a different day.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, but unfortunately, suicide forest is a Japanese thing because that's in Tokyo area. Yeah. And
but
Japan
I'm wondering if like that's a part of the only reason I brought that up is because like wondering if like they're killing themselves and they're just repeatedly killing themselves when they're in that forest.
Oh, they probably
that's why
are.
I was asking.
Yeah.
But okay, sorry.
But no, that's a good question. But
ignorant white person question.
No, it's fine. I think that's something that you do have to find someone with Japanese culture to explain to you what it means to them, because all of us have something different. So I mean, like me and Han are similar because she's Thai and she's Buddhism, and my Buddhism are very similar. So we do have similar things, but the Japanese Buddhism is like another different animal. I forgot what it's called, but there's a lot of variations and stuff, and so unfortunately, there's one of the things that it's not universal connected. Like Korea is a huge Christian country, so their ghost stuff also is not very similar. Their Korean version of Christian, like it's
is
not
Jesus white over there too?
Jesus is Korean over there. I'm actually pretty sure. I know it's a joke, but I'm pretty sure Jesus is Korean over there. Anyways, don't call me that. If you're a Korean listener, please don't hate on this Chinese kid. I don't know. I'm guessing. But I know that, Korean is very Christian fused. It's same as like indigenous people here is an indigenous their indigenous belief fused with their Catholic, right? It's this messed up. It's not Catholic. If you ever been to like the reserve and if you actually know people who teaches there, they would tell you that their belief is a whack integration of Catholic with their original indigenous belief, and it makes no sense at all because they're not the same system, but they got jammed together.
Yeah, they're just jammed together
over the years, and it's just this whack thing. So anyways, religion is weird, and religion is also very cool. I love reading about that stuff.
I know, it's super interesting.
Sorry, but back to the thing. Yeah, so in that movie, that's that part. It was an important part of the story, but you won't get it if you're not, a Chinese person. The same thing as like when she first leave her house and she sees the kid saying that, "Have you seen my report card?" You probably not. You might get the cue that he's like a spirit, but for a Chinese person, we know instantly he's a spirit because we see the lanterns on the door. So the moment you see the lantern, you'd be like, all right, that's a dead person in there. And a kid talks to you. You're like, all right, there we go. Yeah, here we go.
Oh my God.
And then another thing, like in the movie, I don't know if you see that there's a lot of green in the movie.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole hue of green over top of almost the whole movie. Yeah.
Yeah, and because green is our color of hell.
Oh.
Our hell is not red. Our hell is green. Now, do you know why our hell is green?
Because that's how it is in Hercules?
Sure.
No, okay, continue.
Actually, I have no idea if we have linked. There's a good chance that somewhere that Greek mythology and Chinese mythology may have linked sometime in the past. If someone knows that, you could find me and let me know. I would love to know about it. But our color is greens because what color is a dead person?
Green?
Dead person's green.
Well, it's been a while since I've seen a green dead person. But
yeah, but you know what I'm talking about.
A couple hours at least.
But you're not pink. You're not reddish.
Yeah.
The color of red and pink is the color of someone who has blood pumping through your veins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get cold and green. Okay.
Cold and green and blue. So if you watch Hong Kong horror movies, the green and blues is our hell. It's a cold place. It's not hot because when you die, you are cold.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But there is a burning hell. The burning hell is for someone who like your murderers and stuff like that. Like you do go to a different kind of hell. So there's two types of hell. There's a hell it's just called underworld, but basically you just live as a ghost and everything's fine.
You guys got two hells?
Yeah, and then there's the other hell, the bad hell. That's literally is if you're a killer. If you actually, I'm not very sure what else is, but killing
Maybe it's
people
getting
for sure.
melded right now as we
Yeah.
speak.
Anyways, but someone, if you're like, if you're a murderer, stuff like that, you go to that hell and you don't escape. Okay. And then if you go, and it's all mixed up. So it became, again, this is like a huge thing because it depends on your Taoist side or your Buddha side, because it's two different systems, right? The Buddha side is that you get reincarnated in normal time. And if you make up enough karma, you become the enlightenment. And then you become the Buddha, and you no longer suffer the suffering that a normal person suffers in the real world. Because in Buddhist belief, you were always suffering.
Yeah, well, that's what I believe.
Yeah. So, but Buddhist belief is like life is suffer. But what separates someone is good and bad is what choices you make when you're suffering.
Oh, okay.
But one of the ideas of Buddhist belief is that because we're constantly suffering, that is our not sin, but that's kind of the not punishment, but it's our training, I guess, right? And but you're going to suffering, and some people just and so when people say karma, it's not something that comes like this lifetime. Like my karma now, it's not just this lifetime. It's like all my past repeatings of lifetime add up together. And eventually, if you have enough lifetimes that you do good stuff, that you rack up enough karma, that's how you become the Buddha. It's not like this lifetime you are the best person ever. Because the last lifetime, while you're suffering, you could be a piece of shit and like killing everybody during World War II and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. So there's still hope for the next me.
There's still hope for the next me. Exactly. and that's exactly the idea. That is the idea. So it's never too late. You know, and even though you might be not getting the right karma this year, that's not a reason for you to be a piece of shit.
Yeah. Okay.
Because, and that's exactly what you said. It's never too late. You could always turn around. You know, and that's the Buddha side, right? And the Taoist side, I'm not very sure how that works as well. But anyways, I'm done talking about this part. But this movie has a lot of kind of those elements in it, and it's. And that's
it makes me want to rewatch it, honestly.
Yeah.
Like hearing all this really does make me want to rewatch it. But I have one burning question that I actually need to ask before I forget it.
Yeah. Is
Jessica still single?
Jessica is no longer single. She's engaged, and she is also.
It worked.
Well, the thing is, like, Jessica is also like very attractive, so it would have worked out regardless of Jessica having to.
She didn't need to get the tribal tramp stamp tattoo.
No, I know she did not need that to actually lay anybody, because she is actually very attractive. Easy. She's one of those people that goes on Instagram and like poses like yoga poses.
Oh my god.
And because she could do all those crazy poses and stuff like that, she's like super fit. Anyways.
Pan's gonna be walking in here any minute now.
Oh, Pan agrees with me. Like we both, we'll look at her Instagram and be like, oh my god. Anyways.
All right, well I'll get her Instagram afterwards.
But before we finish this movie, I do want to talk about the elevator scene, because I love the elevator scene. I think the elevator scene is one of the best moments of horror. And like it's one of my favorite. I would put that in top 10 for me of moments of horror. I love that scene so much. And there is one thing that you don't realize, and now I'm going to explain to you why that makes that scene even better, okay?
Explain to me like I'm 5. Come on, let's do it.
So first thing is, in this scene, for whoever, I'm going to spoil everything, unfortunately, but you should watch the movie because of this scene. This scene.
I think hearing all this, and if you haven't seen The Eye, you should watch it after hearing all this, because it's going to make it a million times better, honestly.
So when this girl goes, she basically, she goes into the elevator, and she looks at the CCTV, and to check out if to just normal, just look inside. We always have CCTV in our elevators in Hong Kong. I don't know why. Anyways, but she looks in. When she was about to walk into an elevator, she sees a creepy old dude inside, facing away from her, facing like the corner of the elevator. And then she comes out, looks at a CCTV, and obviously there's nothing there because that guy is a ghost. And then she looks back in, and she's still here. And then there's two couples who don't see ghosts, walks inside to the elevator, and it just like doesn't understand why she's not going in there, right?
Yeah.
And then she refuses to go in there, and the elevator goes, and she goes in another elevator, and there's nobody there yet. But obviously, if you're a ghost, you're not gonna be trapped inside the one space. So this guy,
of course not.
Yeah. So this ghost floats into her elevator. And she like, but the thing is like, she doesn't go back to see it. She could tell and the things that, and this is what I said before, right? My mom felt cold air when there was ghosts present. And this is something that's actually, that's a common thing for Hong
it's
Kong.
in Western culture too.
Yeah. So she probably felt it. The moment that she was in the elevator, she felt it. And you can see that scene just immediately, her like goosebump and her eyes change. She knew something is in there with her now, and she does not dare to see it. She is so scared because she's gone through a hell of a day. She's already terrified. And then this happens, and she's stuck in the elevator. Nothing she could do. And she's supposed to go to floor 15. Okay? Now, why is this important? So first thing, this is amazing because this elevator part makes you wait for her to get to floor 15. So you see the number changes and see her just like more and more shaking because
getting wrecked up.
She's just getting, and this ghost is just slowly getting closer and closer and just slowly flowing to her. And then eventually it starts turning and you see like what happens to it. You know, that what the ghost actually looks like. So all this is amazing. But what you don't understand as a Western audience is that there's actually subtle cues in the elevator that there's certain numbers are not supposed to be presented when she was going up the elevator. And those two numbers is 4 and 14.
So say that one more time.
You're not supposed to see two of the numbers when she was in the elevator. When it's going up, the numbers are going up. Yeah. And those two numbers are 4 and 14. So as a Chinese audience, when you saw that, you already know she's in a bad place because those two numbers are not supposed to be in the elevator. And this is why. The word 4 sounds like death in Cantonese and in Mandarin. Both of our Chinese language, the number 4 sounds like death. And as I said before, we are very superstitious. So in any of our elevators, we do not have the 4th floor. We don't have the 14th floor. 14 sounds like you're dead for sure. 10, 4. 4 means dead. 10 sounds like for sure. So you have dead for sure together. Dead for sure. So if you ever been to Hong Kong, been to Taiwan, you ever been to China, if you look at elevators, you're not going to be able to click 4 or 14.
Really?
Yeah. Unless it's like some Western like Holiday Inn and they decided to like hell with like tradition. But that most of those hotels don't have either. Like if you go to Four Seasons of Hong Kong, you know, you would not have the floor 4. You would not have the floor 14. This actually brings back some cool stuff you go to. Like Taiwan has like a hotel which is built on the burial grounds from the dead people that the Japanese people killed when they were occupying Taiwan. And when you go in there, there's some arts in there that are like kind of weird looking. Like this is like a crazy expensive hotel, but as a Chinese person going in there, you would know those are not art. Those are Chinese spells written in like art form. So like Western people don't know those are Chinese spells. Yeah. And those are spells to keep the dead spirit, because these are angry people. They get killed by Japanese people and they're trapped in this place. And how you build a hotel on top of it. So to keep the spirits away from like haunting the guests. Anyways, so 4 and 14, those two numbers. So if you watch that elevator scene of that, the moment you see 4 coming up, you'll be like, wait a minute here.
Yeah.
Something is funky. Yeah. And then obviously she leaves the elevator and she goes into floor 14. The floor that does not exist. She went into the space of hell.
Jesus.
And then that's why it was so scary that, you know, and we knew something's funky, and she ran in. And so after all this tension, she runs and she tries to open the door. She can't open it. And we see it says 14C. And that's the moment that for a Chinese person, that's really the moment that all the goosebumps comes up. Because you know you're not supposed to be there. You're in the wrong place. You're in the wrong spirit realm. You're not supposed. And so that's why that part, as a Western person, you understand it's tense because the whole build up of that guy, it is very tense, you know. But you don't understand, why is it her not opening the right door? Oh, she's the wrong house. Okay, whatever. I mean, that's kind of spooky, but that's not that spooky.
Yeah,
that's
it's creepy without it, but it definitely makes it adds a whole different meaning and layer to the movie.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, and so that's why this movie scared so many Hong Kong people, because we watched it, and then next thing you know, because that's nightmares made of. Can you imagine you going home and you got into the wrong, like 14 or 4? Because that's what we scared. Because that means that we're no longer in the human side. That means you're not in the human side. You're on the ghost side. That's a very, very big no-no. So because of that, this movie, that's why it's so scary. That's why your Philippine friend was so scared of it, because he probably had similar beliefs.
Yeah.
I don't know. But there might be certain things that clicked, and for them, when he saw it, he probably had the exact reaction me seeing that scene and going, no, not 14, not 14.
Oh man, that's amazing.
So, anyways, that's the movie. Oh man, okay, I can't say this is not like my favorite, like, because as much as I love this movie, there are parts that, you know, there are parts that it never hit as well. Like, I love the first half. I want to say this. I'm a huge fan of the first half of the movie. I think it's one of the best setup of a horror movie. And, you know, the fact that, you know, she keeps interacting these things because she doesn't know she's not supposed to.
Yeah.
It's enough to make you go, oh, stop looking. Stop doing that. He's eating the candle. We don't eat candles. We all know what eats candles.
Yeah, does it? Who eats candles?
Ghost does.
Ghosts eat candles?
Yeah, that's one of the things we feed them. We feed them incense. That's why if you look at Chinese people, when we in front of our Garys and stuff like that, we always give incense. We always give candles. That's one of their foods.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that kid was eating. That kid was visiting his old house where his parents gave him food so that he's not starving in the underworld.
God, man, there's so much shit to be scared of in that culture.
Oh, I'm talking about. Yeah, exactly.
I guess it's the same as, like, I would get scared shitless when I was in like thinking back to Bible school, man. Honestly, growing up and going to Sunday school, or even just any type of like, and same with religious studies and Christian ethics. Like, there was always scarier shit in those classes than there was in actual horror movies for me.
Yeah,
that's terrifying.
Because you never know if it's gonna cross the realm. You never know if it's gonna, you know, mess you up. And
for me, I just thought of, if I touched my wee that Jesus would kill me.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, no, ours is like way worse than that. You know, we have a ghost festival, like our Chinese Halloween, but our Chinese Halloween is kind of like the Mexican one where the dead comes back from the land of the dead and come to the human world. Okay, but for them it's a good thing because they celebrate it. For us, it's like, do not walk at the dark, do not wear black clothes, do not touch anything you're not supposed to touch.
Man, I'd be fucked.
Because that's the day.
I do all those things.
Yeah, because that's the day that the spirit is the strongest. And if they are a mean spirit, they could take over your body and go do different stuff, which is what Out of the Dark is about. That movie that I said that's one of my favorite horror movies. I really wanted to show you because that movie is why I am the way I am when it comes to movies. It is a huge stepping stone and why I love movies the way it is. But one of that theme is that it's ghosts taking over human bodies to do their biddings for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I promise you, we will do this again, and we'll cover Out of the Dark.
Okay, I'll try to find it. I'll try to find it, but it's too bad because it was streaming when you asked me, and I was like, great, that'd be great. He gets to watch the stream. We get to talk about the movie, and then it could start on streaming anymore. It might come back, anyways. But those are the layers in the eye that, unfortunately, if a Western character, you watch it and you be like, yeah, it's okay. Like it has some spooky jump scares. But
there's so much more to it. Yeah, there's so much more to it
in that movie
that I wasn't even seeing.
Exactly.
Ironically.
But that's fine, you know. But that's why, you know, as an Asian person, that's why I picked this movie. I think this movie is a great explanation for me to explain like why. Because I'm kind of dragging you down the bus right now, or we're throwing you in front of the bus right now. But there was one time I was supposed to hang out with Mitch, and he was high out of his mind. And the first thing he said to me was, Jay, why are Hong Kong movies not as good as Hollywood movies? and is Inferno the best Hong Kong movie ever made? And but
what
the thing
is the best Hong Kong movie ever made?
That's what you said.
What did I say was?
Infernal Affairs.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And in my defense, I think Infernal is among one of the best Hong Kong movies ever made. I don't think it's the best for me, but it is a mess. But anyways, but one of the reason, and
I
that's
was
what
literally only saying that because I knew it would get you worked up.
but it worked because after you said that, and because you asked me for the podcast, you said that. All I could think about when I was showering is like, I gotta bring that up. I gotta talk about it in the podcast. I don't think you understand how many times I've thought about this since you asked me. But the thing is that I think one of the reasons is there are differences in culturally. So there's things that hits you guys, hits Western audience that doesn't hit Hong Kong people.
Okay. I just need to be crystal clear, and it sucks that you actually thought that I was serious that whole time.
Oh, no,
but I
don't
was
think you're serious.
Okay.
But
that's such a clearly ridiculous thing to say. Why are Hollywood movies better than Hong Kong?
but the crazy thing is, like, a lot of my friends think that.
Oh yeah.
A lot of my friends, not.
Well, we got Venom too. Let There Be Carnage.
Yeah, but that movie is fun to watch. Anyways. Oh. I like when a movie's bad, but it's just entertaining bad. Anyways, but the thing is, what I was gonna say is like a lot of my Hong Kong friends, they actually don't watch Hong Kong movies. They don't like it because of that. We do have that mindset. Anything that's not done in Hong Kong is better than, and they also don't watch Chinese movies, but that's a totally political reason. I watch Chinese movies. I think Chinese movies actually has some really, really crazy cool CGI monster stuff that if you love monster movies, you need to watch some Chinese movies because...
What was Monstrum? Did you watch Monstrum?
I did not see Monstrum.
That's another really good one. It's I can't remember. I think it's Indonesian as well, actually.
Right,
but it's fucking great. Yeah.
You gotta text me these Indonesians afterwards.
Because I'd like to think that I like to think that you obviously know that I don't discriminate in movies.
No, I don't think that at all. But I think you did brought up like a sour point, like a point that like
it's a sore spot for you.
Sore spot, yeah. But the sore spot's not for me. The sore spot is because like my Hong Kong friends, like it sucks to see that people in Hong Kong don't enjoy their own movies because I do think Hong Kong has some amazing movies. I think there are some great independent stuff, and my friends in Hong Kong, they don't watch it. Like I'll be like, "Have you seen this movie?" They'll be like, "No." I mean, like, why would I? I'm like, it's amazing. Like, but they watch all the Avengers movies. They watch all, you know, and it drives me nuts. It is something that drives me nuts,
No, it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy when my friends won't watch something that has subtitles on, and there'll always be excuses. And like, see, that's just the subtitle barrier. That's the 1 to 2 inches on the screen. That's not someone who's just automatically writing something off because it's not American.
Yeah, but that's what they do. And not American. Like they would watch like Japanese horror. They watch Korean horror. They just won't watch like Hong Kong.
Weird.
Yeah, that's just the way they are. But anyways. I completely went off the rails. I don't remember where we are. But all I was saying is that this movie, I thought it was a good example of like the cultural difference of the movie and something that now, hopefully after I explain it, if you have a chance to watch it, maybe you remember certain things I say and then you appreciate what kind of scares that the Pang brothers were bringing up. Like these guys, they put out a few movies after this and they were all pretty good. There's one called The Detective that came out 2008 that was like more like a thriller, more like trying to find a killer kind of movie, but it's set in Bangkok. And if you've ever been to Bangkok and you've ever been to like the city part of Bangkok, you would know how creepy it is. It could be at night. It's just and it's in their culture too. They think it's creepy. It's not just us. Like that's why my girlfriend warned me. Like you're in Bangkok.
Yeah,
you're in Ghost City, bro. You need to not ask. You're in Ghost City,
bro.
Like she's like, you think Hong Kong's spooky? You're gonna be in Bangkok, where my village is. That's where spooky stuff happens. Is literally, and they wear it in their cred. Like they're just like, you think Hong Kong's spooky? You have to come to Bangkok. Like it's just it's a different level for them, man.
Yeah. Well, no, honestly though, Jay, I'm really, really, really happy that you chose The Eye because that was all very like insightful and really interesting, and it does add an entirely different layer to the movie. There's so many different layers that I like the movie like like I gave it 3.5 on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
Like I really liked it, but I
Yeah.
clearly missed a lot of stuff because the cultural difference. But
Oh yeah.
thanks. Yeah, no, I really appreciate you like coming on and sharing all those stories, and because dude, that was awesome. Like I learned a lot, and it does make the movie like makes me want to watch it again. I just watched it last night.
Yeah.
So hopefully listeners feel the same. We have spent like nearly an hour on The Eye, which I'm not even
sorry.
no, not even slightly complaining about. But luckily, I don't know if we're going to be able to spend an hour on Dream Home or Dream Home.
You'd be surprised, man.
Yeah. Well, let's shift over and let's start talking about Dream Home. So the only thing that I knew about this movie was I knew that it was one of those movies that was described as like a Category 3 movie where they would take it to the extremes. Can you give our listener base a little bit of backstory on what Category 3 movies are and just your history with Dream Home?
So Category 3 movies means that it is very violent, or it has sex scenes. Actually, it goes both ways. So if you have because Hong Kong also makes porno movies, but not like legit porn. You never see the vagina or the penis, but it's a porn movie. You see
Say it again. Say it again.
You don't see the vagina or the penis. You don't. But it's a weird. It's also it's a weird like culture of Hong Kong too. Not culture, but it's historically when we make movies, that was one of the things we were also famous for. Like because Hong Kong was making all the movies in the 70s and the 80s. Everybody watched Hong Kong movies. So obviously, other than like the big kung fu epics, the dramas, the action, the Jackie Chan action movies, we also were giving out porno movies too. Anyway, so we have.
So it's kind of like NC-17, 18A. R-rated,
exactly.
But like Category 3 is like the most extreme of the extreme.
The most extreme. And sometimes just by swearing a lot, you could be in the Category 3 kind of thing. So I'm pretty sure Inglourious Basterds was almost a Category 3 in Hong Kong because of the excessive swearing and the scalping and whatever it was. But I don't remember because what I remember is I think they actually cut some scenes in Hong Kong to make it one level lower, so
that's
they could
crazy.
Yeah, that's what
that movie doesn't even come back. Like I love Inglourious Basterds, one of my favorite Tarantino movies, but like that movie doesn't even fucking compare to the depravity that you see in Dream Home.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing. It's that it's not like it's one of those that if it passes the line, it is automatically like into that Category 3 thing. I'm not the expert on how they do it, but I know that was. I remember reading something about that, and I remember watching Inglourious Basterds in Hong Kong and wondering if I actually saw the full cut. And then when I came to Canada again and I bought the Blu-ray, and I was like, oh yeah, they definitely cut out some of these scenes. I was like, I don't remember them scalping people. Oh,
well, and for an example, in Dream Home, right off the bat, so we'll give people a little warning here because I do know, like we at one point covered Itchy the Killer, and I know that was one of those movies that was like too extreme for some of our listeners, and like this movie has there's 2 separate dicks in it, so they may not be going into the vagina, but they're going somewhere.
Oh, they're going somewhere. Yeah, this movie is over. It is as extreme as. Well, I don't know, but I wouldn't
say it's pretty extreme. Like but it's satirical.
But the thing is, I think it is more extreme than The Sadness.
Really,
I think it showed more. And that's actually what I thought. Because I kind of forgot about it until I rewatched it again, and I was like, oh no, actually, I was like, this definitely shows more than The Sadness is what I thought.
It has one of the most upsetting savage kills I've seen in a movie, I think, ever, and that's the pregnant woman.
Oh yeah, and it's such a gut punch. This is a gut punch movie. It is sad. It is funny, but it is also very gut punch. It is both at the same time. Yeah.
It's such wit. Like it's not only like it's nothing like The Eye. Like it's completely nothing like The Eye. But it is super funny, but then the violence takes it so far to the point where it's like it's almost not even funny because the violence is so extreme.
Yeah, and I think they're really realistic. Like the bong scene, I love the bong scene, but it's just
they ripped that off from Idle Hands though. You guys gotta get your own ideas. I'm just kidding.
I've never seen that movie, but I love that bong scene. I remember seeing that. So that my history. So I'm gonna explain
Get
why.
your own ideas. The most like in. Oh my god.
But here I'm gonna explain about Dream Home. Okay, Dream Home is directed by Pang Ho Chang, and I don't know Pang Ho Chang's. I don't know if he has a different English name. There's some movies of him are on Netflix right now that you could watch out. And the two movies I know for sure on Netflix are Love on the Puff and Love on the Buff. I'm pretty sure, and both of those are romance comedy. And you hearing me right?
Yeah, I love it.
Romance comedy. And this is why one of these movies, okay? So Pang Ho Chang is actually a very influential director in my cinephile life.
Yeah.
He was the guy who made me realize I like artsy movie. And I'm gonna explain what happened. So when Pang Ho Chang first started, his first movie he made was called I Shoot You Shoot, and that is a black comedy movie about an assassin getting hired to kill people, but the rich people were not happy with the fact that he didn't get to see him kill the people. So he blackmailed a filmmaker to help him film him assassinating people. And it's a blast. It's a very funny movie. And it's very dark and twisted, but not like Dream Home where it's like extreme. It's just
it's just crazy.
It's just crazy, but it's a very funny movie. And from there on, he went to The Revenge of the Princess, or whatever the English name was. Actually, maybe I should like pull up IMDb so I know the English name of all these movies. But he went to that.
This is the only film of his that I've seen. But even just from seeing this one movie, even like I will say, like I like this movie less than The Eye, just because it's generally just not as much my thing. Like these extreme movies, like it's kind of weird. Like I like a lot, like I love Itchy the Killer, but there's some of them. It's just like I don't know. This one I do like it and I appreciate it, and I would like to see it in a theater because I'm pretty sure John played this at the Saskatoon Fantastic Film Festival back in the day.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I think because I know he's a big fan of this one as well. You and John have a lot of similar movie taste too, but but this is one that would be like a blast to see with a group because like when I'm sitting here watching it by myself and I'm like, the tonal shifts are so insane. Yeah, I what I was trying to get at is even only seeing this one movie, you can tell that he has a style. Specifically in the bong scene and the dick, like just the way that whole scene is filmed. It's like you can just see a director with real style in that whole sequence.
And then there's like always people in mirrors, people going through like elevators and stuff like that, and escalators, and you can see through escalator. Like he has a really beautiful visual style. Okay. Yeah. Like he is. So this is what happened. So in You Shoot I Shoot, in that first one, you already know how much he loves Martin Scorsese because the whole movie, he constantly talks about Martin Scorsese and he constantly like parodies it in his own way. And then in the next one, in Dear Arcand, a revenge movie, same thing, very beautiful movie and has a twist. And that's the thing, he was kind of like the M. Night Shyamalan big guy in Hong Kong at that time, where all his movies has a twist. Kind of thing, okay? And then so he did that and did Beyond Arcand. And then he went and made Man Selling Black, which is this black comedy about like a bunch of husbands grouped together to go cheat on their wives. And so all three of these movies are success. You know, it was. If you ever seen that, you won't be saying that because this is actually.
Well, that's what I was. Yeah, it was a pretty joking. It's like funny comedy.
But it is actually like very smart. Like his movies are always very smart, but it's one of those that you might think is very stupid or you might think it's very smart. I guess I should say. You know, it's always a twist. And then so he made 3 or 4 actually he has a movie called AV. I gotta talk about AV because I love AV. AV. I don't know if anybody here knows what AV is, but that's the word we use for Japanese porn. So
didn't know that, but I know what I'm searching tonight.
So Pang Ho Chang has a movie called AV, okay? And the movie is about a bunch of university students who wanted to film their own AV. And so what they came up with is that they had people invest in their project. And basically, if you pay a certain amount of money, you could become a crew member to help make this porno. And it would film the 3 main characters in the movie as the as this porn main star, so they could have sex with a really hot porn star from Japan. And this is the premise of the movie. And at a certain part of the movie, they have an action choreographer who brought in someone, and they had like wire work, and the guy was like dressed up as a sperm, and he starts like floating in the air. Anyways,
all right. So this guy's insane. Yeah, we get it.
This guy's insane. So he gets like this kind of movie. So he made all these movies, and people were like, all this funny stuff. And then he was like, you know what? I'm done making funny stuff. I'm going to make serious movies. And that's when he made the movie Isabella and Exodus. And Isabella is important to talk about because Isabella is a movie that got him recognized in Cannes. This guy has a nomination in Cannes Festival. Like he's so good at making movies that he has a Cannes nod. That's a big deal. That's not like just like Hong Kong us saying that he's good.
I'm pretty sure Joker got in the Cannes.
Okay, there you go. Right? I have no idea if Joker got in the Cannes, but the idea is like that. He made this very artsy movie called Isabella, and that was a movie I first watched, and that was a movie that made me go, man, I love artsy movies, and I started watching other artsy movies. So he made Isabella.
That was me with Transformers 2.
Yeah, there you go. So Power Chart makes Isabella, and then he made Exodus, the most artsy movie you watched. It's not
the Ridley Scott movie.
Yeah, not the Ridley Scott movie.
Not that piece of shit.
And so he did all that, and then he's like, you know what? I've proven myself as a comedic director, because he writes and directs all his movies. By the way, he actually writes, directs, and produces a lot of his movies. He's an auteur. He's an auteur. Yeah, he's an auteur, and so he did all that. He's like, you know what? Fuck it. The next movie I'm gonna make is gonna be Dream Home. Like, that's the story of this guy. This guy went and made funny black comedies, made things that everybody loved to watch, and then
he's Hong Kong's James Wan then.
He's a James Bond, yeah, and he made Isabel, the art one, and he's like, all right, let's go. I'm going to make the movie that no one can watch. I'm going to go balls to the walls, just violence. And that is, and that Dream Home is, I think, I love Dream Home because of that, because I've seen everything else that he's done.
Yeah.
And for me, this is his Malignant. Oh my God, I cannot say it. But this is his movie, because this is the movie that he didn't give a shit. This is a movie that him going, let's go.
He had paid his dues, and he's like, yeah, it's time to fucking ramp it up here.
Let's go ramp it up, And I love it for that. That's a big part why I love it, is because this is his fucking moment. And then eventually he made Bulgaria, which is a movie about being a producer. And you should watch that movie.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I highly recommend going through this dude's movies. I love him. He's one of my favorites. He is one of my favorites, and he is a big reason that I love movies as much as I do. So the background Dream Home, it's a movie about this lady, or this woman who really wanted to buy this specific. She really wanted to buy an apartment from this specific building called Victoria. That's where she wanted to build it. And she grew up at a really poor apartment complex. And that was her dream. Her dream was to buy this, expensive apartment. And throughout the movie, other than, the killing, stuff like that, you actually get to see how just oppressed it was to be living in those areas. And one of the oppressiveness comes from just the fact that you're constantly surrounded by buildings. You don't see the sky at all. And at the Dream Home at Victoria, you see the whole sea. You see the sky. Yeah. It's an escape from being constantly in that area where you don't get to see anything. Okay? Yeah. So that's one part you didn't realize.
No, I did actually. I picked that up actually, because I know there's a lot of correlations with, I know it sounds ridiculous, but there's correlations with Vancouver.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, exactly. Okay, because it's the same idea. Yeah. And this is also a very timely movie, because after 10 years, this movie, it's still the same thing. It's still the part where
the pricing for the cost of living is so fucking high.
Exactly. The cost of living is so high that the only way you could buy a decent place is to kill people to lower
That's my
price.
one beef with the movie, but it's also pretty funny that that he says it's based off real events.
Yeah.
Or that this is based on a true story. The only thing that's true, the only thing in this entire movie that is true is that the price of these houses is expensive.
No, it also is true that when there's murders or death around a house happens, apartment, your apartment value does go down.
Yeah, fucking hope so.
Oh yeah. So no, that definitely that is also true too. So it's playing into those two things, and it.
But no one was breaking into houses and vacuum sealing a pregnant woman's head, you know.
Well, no, but there is definitely people killing people to probably achieve the same thing.
Okay, yeah, I guess.
I would not say in Hong Kong history never happened. I'm not gonna, you know,
Yet.
But I wouldn't. I mean, but that's the thing. Is like people go nuts, man. People are nuts. One thing about Hong Kong is like, so bringing back to the eye, that kid killed himself over losing his report card. Hong Kong is a very high stress city. There's constantly, I hear about middle schoolers like grade 7, people in high school grade 8 or whatever killed themselves because they didn't get good grades. That is actually a very common thing in Hong Kong. I'm not kidding. People are jumping out of buildings because of this kind of stuff.
And there's so much pressure on them.
Exactly. There's so much pressure on them. So that, you know, yes, obviously probably someone killed something pregnant, you know, like not all these events like that, but I wouldn't put it on there that it's never happened. Because I don't know. It's probably just ramped up because it's a fucking movie. Well, okay, so as an example, there's a movie in Hong Kong called what's the English name? I cannot find, but basically it's the human char siu bao, and char siu bao is basically our pork bun. So the movie is called A Human Pork Bun. Okay, I'll try. I don't remember the actual English name because there's a different name, but it was streaming on Shudder. Actually, it was streaming on Shudder. If I can find it, I'll text you it. The movie is actual real event. This person murdered a whole family, chop up their bodies, grind it into minced meat, and made pork buns out of it, and was selling it.
Scott Tenorman.
Do you like it? Do you like it, Scott? I call it Mr. and Mrs. Tenorman chili. Oh my God!
So in South Park, he does that to the bully, Scott Tenorman.
Okay, but this movie came out in 1993.
I know.
And that was actual event. Like, that was a big deal. It was an actual guy killing people, a serial killer killing people, making people into pork buns.
Yeah.
That movie, I mean, like, it dramatized it, but
yeah, okay,
that happened. It literally happened. So Hong Kong people are nuts. I'm putting out there.
Well, have you heard of Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yeah, I've heard of Jeffrey Dahmer.
People are fucked everywhere.
But the thing is, like, you're saying that, you know, people's never done this. I'm saying that I wouldn't actually say it never happened because of the things that I've read about Hong Kong and like the things that happened in my, you know, things I've read. It's just like, yeah, you know, I wouldn't say one person did all of it, but I'm sure some of this has been done.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah. Okay. So we get the point. Like, people will probably kill people to live. Yeah. Like, because they actually go nuts.
Yeah. People's probably killed pregnant people by using a vacuum cleaner. I don't know.
That's the one that stands out in particular as like the gnarliest kill in the movie for me. And it's like pretty quick into the movie. But also, I just have a thing for zip ties, like zip tie kills. And the movie leads off with one like that. And then the knife and everything. Like, it's this one is cringy to watch, like, especially. And then. But that's what the best things that I can say about this movie is, like, even though it didn't like fully work for me, like, it's just not one of those types of movies that gets my jollies off. You know, it's not my thing that gets me super excited. But the direction and all of the kills, and specifically though when she's on top of the bed frame and she's breaking the wood and she pounds it into the chick's mouth and she's like, you think she's dead and then she starts rattling again. Like, it's funny. Like that's where it's like you see Evil Dead 2. You see fucking just all sides of the extreme horror. Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah. Oh yeah. The
rockstar fingers.
Yeah.
I love the rockstar fingers.
Well, the guy getting his dick cut off to his entire intestines falling on the floor, and he's like alive the entire movie.
Yeah. I love how he kills him off at the end, though. How she like thinks about it a second, and then she like does it. So But yeah, no, this movie, the kills are well done. It's shot well. But another thing is like it is a commentary socially of what happened, and the whole I guess one of the backgrounds I should explain is that there was a time where Hong Kong government was actually buying all the old apartments of these older developed places, because those houses weren't built tall up. They were they were older. So generally a Hong Kong apartment complex goes up to like 40, like level 30 to 40. That's how high we build our buildings for apartment complex, because we don't have enough place. And these older places generally just goes up to like 15 or 20, something like that, which is, that's, and they're like poorly done, it's a fire hazard, it's everything. So
there's no floor 14.
There's no floor 14. That's right.
Yes, and I'm learning, Jay. See?
So the government, what they do is they did actually try to buy out lands from these people. They offer them money and stuff like that, and to try to and they sell it to like the development people, and to get them to build new apartment complex. But one thing that did happen was like some of these people, they didn't want to move because they've been there forever. It's their it might be their grandparents' place, right? Not everybody's going to be like, you're giving me this money, I'm going to move, And on top of that, with like the housing market of how high it is, whatever the government is giving, sometimes it's just not enough for you to actually buy a place, the same size or even like livable.
Yeah.
And you could tell like from watching this movie that these people were poor, they were struggling. They didn't really have the money. So, so it was one of those that it had a commentary on what happened there with how the government was forcing people out of the way. So what eventually started happening was there was gangster involved. There was like red paint being poured into people's houses. There was snakes and other tactics being thrown into houses to try to get people to be scared. Try to get people to get, you got to get, to leave out of this place. So that's one part that, they show, and that's why you see all those banners saying that, the government is a gangster. The banners all are saying that, the government is killing us on purpose. The government does not care about us. And all those banners are saying in those moments of the movie that these people are getting forced out of their home because, and it's a logical thing. It's not, I'm not saying that it's complete, illogical. I'm not saying it's complete for money, but there are parts of it is because of money, because these big development organizations, what do you call it? Development companies, like they are making big bucks by getting these projects. Okay. And so they want to start doing this. They want to get that money rolling. They want to, start building this stuff. So there's that part of that movie that makes it even more oppressed. It more that feeling of like, there's just no escape. You can't go to, the government. You can't go to, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, no, it's eat the rich. Like I think what this movie's trying to say says it loud and clear. Yeah, and I think that's one of the that's a great thing to say about the movie. It's a huge compliment to it, is that it's the allegory and the social commentary works very well. It's heard loud and clear throughout it. Yeah, I think, but it is just like it's an absurd movie.
Oh, it's just very absurd. It is totally over the top. It's a crazy movie, but that is into that. A couple things though that I want to talk about is, do you recognize one of the guys that was having sex with the girl that got his dick cut off?
I recognize one of them.
Okay. Do you know why you recognize him?
No.
Okay. The guy that got his dick cut off is the boyfriend in DI.
Oh. Yeah, but see, and he's got like the spiky, like blonde, he's got like green hair and shit, and he's plays it. Obviously, he's acting. He's a completely different character, but because that was one of my. That's one of my complaints about the movie, though, and but that's like it's a tired complaint. It's just a trope in the horror genre, and is having to sit through shitty characters and like just people who suck, and but those guys take it to a whole different level. And I get that the point is that you're gonna get to see them suffer. Don't worry, you're gonna get to see them suffer. But it's like, fuck, is it like it's just so not fun listening to those people talk. Like, really?
Because I think that the scene where the guys explain why he doesn't want to have a threesome is one of my favorite parts of the movie.
It's so fucked up.
Like the guy
Because
talks
he's
about
talking
why he
about
doesn't
taking it. Yeah, he's taking advantage of a girl though.
No, he talks about why he doesn't want a threesome.
Oh, and he shoots him in the face
Yeah, he shoots him because his friend shot him in the face
with jizz.
from the passive jizz, and that's why they're not doing a threesome.
That's such a weird flex on your friend to pull
Yeah.
out your winky and
And then go for it, you know. And with all that in mind, I do think that yeah, I can see that. You know, I see terrible people. You know, it's not fun to watch terrible people, but I do think the way they die is.
I do, yeah, no, the way they die is glorious, and
Yeah.
I do think it's pretty hilarious when he pulls out the strawberry cocaine, and the guy's response is,
Oh yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
He thinks it's so cute.
He actually no, he says kawaii is what he
Yeah.
said. Yeah. And the bomb kill guy is actually one of the writers.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he's also he helps write a lot of Pang Chung's movies too. And he's also always cameo in the movies. And Pang Chung himself is cameo in this movie. The director is cameo in this movie too. And the director is always cameo in his own movies. Every single movie you see of Pang Chung, there is a scene of Pang Chung in it. And in this movie, the cameo is the phone call at the end when she's finally happy. And the guy is like, fuck you. Actually, he doesn't say fuck you. What he says is fuck your mother, which is
Oh, yeah.
which is what we say as in Cantonese. Actually, in Mandarin and Cantonese, that is the worst thing we say to someone. That's our swear word. We don't say fuck you. Fuck you is like, okay, yeah, it's pretty bad. But when someone say fuck your mother, that means like
yeah,
that's
like, yeah, that's the C word.
That's our C word, you know, and that's what he says on the phone. That's what he say because he's like he knows it's gonna be a rated 3 movie anyway. So in that movie, he goes for it. He's like that's the only time that phrase comes out in the movie, and it's a director himself, and he says it twice. He doesn't say it once; he says it twice. That's little things that are funny for me because I understand the language and I understand. And I know the voice of it, you know. One of the cop that dies, the younger one, he's the director of Rigor Mortis, which is also why when I said chose the 4 movies, Rigor Mortis was one of the list too, because the Rigor Mortis, the director is in his movie. He dies there, and he was one of the cops. The mom of this, the mom of the lady in this movie, she is a prominent character in Rigor Mortis. So that if we actually got to see those 4 movies, you would get to see a lot of crossover.
Yeah, but Jay, now look at this. We're rolling up on 2.5 hours here, so we got to wrap it up right away here, quick.
Okay.
But
I'm sorry, but that's one of the reasons that I want Piggy's movie because yeah, they are.
I'll tell you what.
You see it and all stuff, but yeah.
I will. This has been so much fun, and it's actually just been such a treat to listen to you explain all this stuff to me because it's it's different. Like this is all stuff that how the fuck would I have known any of that, and it's really interesting. But I will have you back on, and we're not gonna do a pre-feature. We'll just get right into the movies.
Sounds good. I'm sorry about that, but can I say one more thing?
Yes.
When you watch it, every Pang Ho Char movie has a blowjob scene.
Very important. That's his signature.
Weirdly, it is. He loves it. Every movie. And so, watch his movies. And you could see the different takes he has on blowjob. In fact, he had an anthology movie, like a bunch of small, short stuff that he made, all that he wrote. And there's one horror sequence in a movie, and it's about blowjob.
Okay.
The one horror sequence he has in his anthology is about blowjob. Just letting you guys know. There you go. That's all I'm gonna say
Take
about
that, Tarantino. Shove feet up your ass. Fuck your mother.
People think feet's gross enough?
Yeah, no kidding. Damn. All right. Well, Jay, this seriously, man, this has been a blast, and we will make it happen again. I just can't promise how soon, but we will make it happen. But we'll tackle a couple more, and we'll maybe go through this. Maybe you can plan it out. Choose like 3 movies or something like that, and try find a correlation between them, and we can dig into like the other stuff that we like. I might not be picking up on. So, but yeah, thank you so much for joining.
No, thank you for having me. Sorry for the rambling.
No, man. That's what it's a podcast. You were great. This has been an absolute blast.
Oh, I'm sure my girlfriend's shaking her head upstairs, going like, "Man, just shut up, man."
Well, I didn't realize that my voice was coming out of your computer until just now, like when Pan came in. So.
Oh no, they're coming out my headphones. My headphones are like complete bleed through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't ruin my editing process. Oh God.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like you mean through the
We'll figure it out. We'll see how it turns out.
All right. I'm sorry, guys. Thank you for listening to me.
Yeah, is there somewhere where people can follow you if they want to keep up with your shenanigans?
My Instagram is drummer Jay. So it's DRUMMER, but my name is JAYE.
Okay, cool. So give Jay a follow.
Yeah, you can also follow me on Letterboxd, and you can see all the rom-coms I watch and what I think about them.
Yeah, your letterbox drives me nuts sometimes. It's for a conversation another day. But all right. Thanks, man. And thank you all for listening to this episode of The Terror Table.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day, night, whatever you want, whenever you're listening to this.